You found the coolest place to be, the PlayStation collecting sets, and come on, won't you stay with me? Welcome to the show. Gather round the boys and girls, collectors from around the world. Let's show the people what they need to know. Welcome to the show. Gonna talk to guests, only got the best. Gonna put their knowledge to the test. Gonna laugh and eat, gonna live the dream. Gonna show you things you've never seen. Gonna sing a song to the break of dawn. Gonna rock this party all night long. So come on everybody, let me see you dance. Get yourself ready for one more chance. You found the coolest place to be, the PlayStation collecting sets, and come on, won't you stay with me? Welcome to the show. Gather round the boys and girls, collectors from around the world. Let's show the people what they need to know. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Hey. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the PlayStation Collectors Podcast. This is season number 3, episode 29. And tonight we welcome Hot Dogs at Disney. Welcome, Jan.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this one. Appreciate any chance I get to talk Disney, but also video games, which is something I don't get to do very often. So appreciate you having me in.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man. And I'm sure everyone who's listening right now is like, what's Hot Dogs at Disney mean? So can you please tell us what you do on Instagram? Because it's really cool.
I guess it's cool. It's cool to it's cooler than I ever thought it would be, I suppose. So what I do is, so I wind it back a few years. I got a annual pass for my birthday one year to Disney in Orlando, and I went a few times and realized like I should probably start documenting it somehow, like taking photos of it, something like that. And it popped. I can't even explain it. It just randomly popped in my head. Well, I'll take photos of hot dogs on rides and post them on Instagram, and it'll make my friends laugh, like make my family laugh and all that. And it did that. And so I just started taking more photos of hot dogs on like the teacups, on the People Mover, on roller coasters, and all sorts of stuff. And it just kind of caught on. And I had actually had no idea that there was like this giant Disney community on Instagram of like influencers and all that kind of stuff that like create all this content.
Oh, Disney's its own thing, its own category on YouTube.
Yeah.
People covering Disney and like, oh yeah, it's a huge thing. Yeah.
Seriously, it's this gigantic bucket. It's like, you put it up there with people who do like makeup channels or like, whatever, video game channels or whatever.
And then there's theme park channels too, and they kind of cross over who do Disney, and then there's like just Disney, and then there's also it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and Disney food and all that
Roller
kind of stuff.
hardcore people and
yeah. So I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but that community just sort of like embraced me because this weirdo from
we like this hot dog guy. I like this guy.
Came in and I just started doing my own thing, and I wasn't trying to be a part of it. I didn't even know it existed, and so I just kind of started becoming friends with people, and it caught on and all that, and it sort of turned into what it's turned into. I hit 10,000 followers sometime end of last year. So to go from like 10 people following me, like friends and family, to 10,000 is pretty cool. And just to think that there's that many people out there to like kind of get the joke, gives me hope for society a little bit.
I really enjoyed scrolling through your page. It gave me a lot of laughs. And, no, it was really cool. And you guys should definitely check it out too.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
And we're going to be talking about Disney games today. You're obviously a massive Disney fan as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I've been playing Disney games since they first started. I think the first Disney game ever was The Black Cauldron, which was on like the Apple II or something like that. Maybe it was on the Amiga or way back.
Play that.
Yeah,
I love the movie, man. So I didn't know, and I love 8-bit Atari and computer stuff and Commodore and all that stuff. So that sounds like something I should take a look into.
Yeah. I never actually played that, but I was aware of it. I was a little too young for that, but then the NES era, like that was like my childhood. And of
A
course,
lot of good
we
Disney games.
yeah, we had DuckTales, and then there was Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, and Tailspin was good, Darkwing Duck, and you had all these games that weren't just like good Disney games; they were like classics. You know, they're still up there to this day as
Mhm.
DuckTales is like as good as Mario almost. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like top tier NES games,
Yeah,
and
but I can
then
beat Mario. DuckTales on the NES is brutal. I was playing it. I literally was playing that earlier this week, and like I think I played for like 20 minutes. I'm like, I haven't beat a single level. I'm
yeah,
just
yeah,
I
it's
just I just been dying for 20, 30 minutes. I haven't beat a single thing. Good
you know what I
stuff.
realized about those old Capcom games is you have to treat every single enemy like it's a boss. So it could just be like, your regular standard enemy that you run into through a level, and you have to take each
Including
one seriously.
pits. You have to jump
Yeah, yep.
over. Just jumping in those damn old games is
I
like
find though in those games, once you play it, it's like the movements will be the same with the enemies and things like that. So you can learn and
Mhm.
oh, hang on, I have to be smart against this guy because I'll die if I just run in, and you eventually like work out how to do the levels and things like that.
Right, right. And that's what's kind of interesting about when we hit the PlayStation era. So, we started out with the NES platformers. The Genesis and Super Nintendo was a lot of platformers like Aladdin, and you had Lion King, and Jungle Book was on there. That was real good. And then we hit the PlayStation, and those 2D like platformers, like everyone was trying not to do those anymore. Like those early PlayStation games, like everyone was trying to
yeah.
switch to 3D and all that. So we kind of the Disney games stopped, like the genre that they were really, really good at, like only kind of lasted into the first couple of years of the PlayStation. And then so like Disney games is like a thing really like sort of transformed and evolved once we hit the PlayStation era.
I think Hercules is a really good game
Hmm.
to use as an example for that because I wouldn't call that 3D. I'd call it like 2.5D. And it
Yeah,
uses
it's
2D and then it kind of turns into 3D and then it goes back to the 2D.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I've actually is it time to start like showing off like collection
Yeah, of
stuff?
course.
So that's top of my pile is Hercules. So I think this is the first PlayStation game, Disney PlayStation game, the very first Disney game that was on a PlayStation
Came out with a
console.
banger.
Yeah, and it is phenomenal. It is like it's a continuation of that side-scrolling thing that they did so well on the 8-bit and 16-bit era games. But the art is beautiful, the sound is great, the animation's really good. Like it's a really creative, inventive game. And I would say, what's funny is going through the stack of games that we're going to go through today. There aren't a lot that are like worth money or like, maybe like
Not now. Who knows
high
going on?
watermarks. Yeah.
I just feel
Hercules, it's
like
the,
down the line, even cheap PlayStation 1 games will be worth more money
I
than
think so
people
too.
yeah. Like I think like even like racing games that are cheap now, I think those
Hmm.
are going to be expensive down the line. Even though there's lots of them.
Yeah.
They're good games. Like any games that are fun to play will increase in value. If the game's garbage, it won't ever.
Yeah, and I think this is the Hercules is the one example I think on the pile that I have of that's maintained its value. I think this is going anywhere between 40 and $50 for this one. So it's not like dirt cheap or
That's
anything like that. And
that's
you
a
don't
clean
see it,
copy.
yeah, you don't see it everywhere. But it's, you guys might run into this. I have a hard time like telling people to go get games that are like, oh, that's cool or interesting, or you should check that out. Because it's like you're still spending money, and I have a hard time vouching for stuff that's like, going to be hard to find, or you have to track down, or spend more than like $10 on. I would say this thing, Hercules, is 100% worth the money. Like this is something I can recommend that people check out and seek out without like no reservations on that. Like this is just a legit great game. Um,
I can't
and
speak
it,
for the North American copy, but the PAL version, we have a platinum version over here that you can find for
yeah,
$10. But if you want the black label, you're looking at a $40 game. So you can pick it up to play cheap. And I had my childhood copy, which unfortunately was the platinum version. So I
hmm,
had to reach out and find the black label. And it generally took me like 2 years to find the good condition, complete copy of Hercules for a reasonable amount. It was one of those games that I had it when I was a kid, and you
hmm.
start collecting, you go and rebuy your childhood. Yeah, it's definitely a game that if you're after it, keep your eyes out for it because it's not one that just shows up all the time.
Yeah, I rarely run across it, and it's not like I wouldn't say it's super rare or anything. It's not like a Panzer Dragoon Saga or like some like Holy Grail, but you just don't see it too often. And I don't think we ever got a greatest hits version of it over here,
Yeah,
so that might be part of the reason why.
sold better in the PAL region.
Yeah, I guess too. One thing about Hercules, though, and a lot of these PS1 games is there's on the PS Vita store still, so you can get Hercules, I think, $5 or something on the Vita, which makes it an easy way to play like a really cool classic game.
Hey, one thing I wanted to add about Hercules, and you might agree with this, is it was one of those games that unfortunately had it was rushed at the end of it. The first
Mhm.
like 5 or 6 chapters of that game, absolutely amazing. And then it's just like 4 boss fights in a row, and then the game ends.
Yeah, yeah. Funny you say that because it's sort of like Disney movies in general. Like they're good about 2/3 of the way through the movie, and then the ending is never all that great. So I guess it's
That's like
same with the games.
90% of all movies. So
Right.
it's the hardest. Good endings are the hardest
Yep.
thing. That's
So,
why if you have a good ending, like The Sixth Sense or something, you can like
Mhm.
make the whole movie. Who cares? It's all about that ending. It's like, oh, that Saw, the end of Saw 1. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
If you have a good ending, it is amazing. But 90% of the time, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, anticlimactic. That's all I feel like most of the games.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You're expecting more, and then you're like, oh, that's all. He just
Some
died.
with
Oh,
these
okay.
Disney movies too, where they're so high concept, like you got this great idea, and then it's just they have a really good idea, and then it just really peters out really fast. Like there's not much more to a lot of these things than just a great idea. Like they
And
kind
then
of
you
don't
got
know what to
Kingdom
do with it.
Hearts, which has got more ideas than you can even like
Yeah,
fathom.
I
You might
know.
could you just explain that story to me real quick?
The Kingdom Hearts story. It's funny. I was looking through my Kingdom Hearts collection, and it's like a stack this big. So I just grabbed the copy of this PS4 one that has
The story
everything
so
on it.
far, such a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
completion, that one.
There's like a all-in-one package thing or something too, isn't there? Like something else too?
Yeah, this is the one.
Another.
Yeah, that's the one. It's
Yeah, so it's got
Okay.
Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, Rechain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts 2, Birth by Sleep. I mean, all the
that
spin-offs
goes
that
up
on
were.
the
to
disc? Is
everything
it all
from
on the disc?
2.8 and back, right? And then Kingdom Hearts
Yeah,
3 is
Oh, I should pick that up. If that's all, if there's no downloads and that's all on the disc, I'd grab that.
yeah, it's
Sounds like
all on the disc. It's still
that sounds like a
pretty
good deal.
cheap too. I think it's like $20, so it's not. It's
Oh
an
yes,
easy way to get everything.
we're in the blessed PS4 times, my friends. Like if you like buying PS4 games right now, it is the glory days. Everything's $20, $15 clearance, $30. Or it's also horrible, like because there's a lot of stuff that's actually kind of disappearing. So there are some things that are getting harder to find and getting expensive. But there's like so many cheap games you can buy right now. I love it.
Yeah, it's a really good time.
I would like to assume that story so far is going to be one of those things in the future that is the one piece that people go for and will creep up in price. I
Yeah,
assumed it a long time ago, and I'm surprised it's still so cheap.
me too. And the thing is that, like I said at the beginning, there are not a lot of like AAA, like amazing, like must-have Disney games. But I would say this, I mean, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 and 3. I mean, it's the best Disney game since the PlayStation started. So in like almost 30 years of Disney games, it's still, those 3 games you could not play anything else and be totally fine. Just playing those Kingdom Hearts games. They're
Yeah, well,
they're
you don't
that
just
good.
get one game; you get every world and all the different
Yeah,
stories. And I
yeah,
remember
because
as a
it
kid, that
mixes.
just blew my mind. It was like, oh, this movie I love, and then you go into the next one. There's no spoilers when you're a kid, and there's no internet. And yeah, it's just so amazing. And then the second one came out, and I got to do it all over again.
Yeah, yeah. The second one might be the best out of all of them. One is great in its own way, and 3 is really good, but 2 is like the sweet spot of like, like it's classic, but like super innovative and fix some things from 1 and all that. And yes, I would say 2 is like the height of that series for sure.
That's what
I
I've heard.
actually didn't finish 3. just found it was really grinding, and it wasn't the experience that I had as a
Hmm.
kid. I don't know. I went into it thinking that I was gonna be nostalgic the whole time and just love it, but I played it for like 20 hours, and I kept trying to replay it, and I just couldn't get into it to finish it.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of had a similar experience with 3. It was like I was so happy to have it, and it was great, and I was excited, but it dropped off really fast. Like, so my enthusiasm for it waned pretty quick. And maybe that's because I'm adult now and I can afford to have more than one game. Like, if it was my
Yeah,
only game, like when I was a kid, I would have played it to death, but it was just sort of, I sort of, like you said, grindy and kind of samey. So it was sort of, it was almost like a sequel to a movie series that you like that sort of does everything right, but you're sort of like, well, I could just watch the old ones or play the old ones.
yeah, you're playing it for the characters, not for the video game and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good point there.
And
But
it's funny how there's a huge perspective change, like when you're younger and you have games and you want them to last forever because you just like had nothing else to play, and
mhm.
now you're like, it's like you're older and you're like, oh, okay, game, this is great and all, but I can't just play this one thing. Like that's how I feel about Final Fantasy Rebirth right now. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I'm ready for it to be over. I like it very much, but I've been trying to do like everything, and I'm like, okay, enough. No more. It's
I
like
think
no more quests pop up, please. Like, let me just stop.
it's an attention span thing too, or like, just a time management thing. Like when you get older, because you're obviously dealing with work and like,
Hmm.
house stuff and all these other commitments you didn't have as a kid. But then you have that too with now you're competing with the internet and streaming services and all this stuff. It's like you really have to be pretty dedicated to be a gamer these days almost
Mm-hmm.
and keep up with stuff because everything's fighting for your attention. And it's like, you can watch and play and do anything basically any time of day. And so, how do you wrap your head around making a choice and then sticking with it? I think it puts a lot of responsibility on games to be good enough to make you obsessed with them. So, the good stuff really stands out if it can hold your attention despite all the other noise out there.
Yeah, you make a really good point there. I just started playing a new game this week called RimWorld, and it I watched my friend stream it. But my friend's played it for 2,500 hours, so watching him play it looks amazing. It's a fun game, but it's got an incredibly steep learning curve. And now I'm at
Hmm.
the point now where it's generally hard, and I'm having fun, but I'm getting destroyed. And I'm like, do I want to invest the time to actually learn this, or do I just move on to something else?
Hmm.
One of those things.
Yeah, and it's like, does it your priorities change in terms of the value too? Like, is it worth it? Is it worth me getting good at this too?
Yeah.
Like, what's the
Mm-hmm.
payoff and everything, and sort of what you're looking for in a game changes too. Um,
Another big thing I think too is like when you're, I mean, if you're older and you're in a relationship, you have a
mhm.
significant other or you have kids or something like that. It's pretty hard to get them to want to watch you play games. So I mean,
Right.
it's you can. It's not impossible. You can get people to play games with you, and sometimes you can get a game that's entertaining enough where someone will watch you play it. But and a lot of the time, it's like you have to set that time aside and be like solo away from the other people to play. And I have that really VR is like a real like I feel like very selfish if I play them
Hmm.
for too long because it's just like okay, well, have fun. See you, freaking, I'm out. Woo! It's like I'm out. And it's just like yeah, it's like like I'm oblivious to my life when I'm doing that. So
Yeah.
it feels a little rude to do it too much.
I
So
agree
it's
with
like
that for sure, and I'm a big,
yeah,
VR fan. I was a huge, huge fan of the PlayStation VR, and it's like it doubles down because it's like, "Hey, I'm gonna check out for a few hours," but I'm, like, doubly gonna check out
like
because 'cause I'm gonna
literally,
have
like if the kids are on
yeah,
fire, I won't notice. So
I have
you better
headphones in,
like
I can't hear anything, right?
yeah,
House has been robbed. As long as they don't take the PlayStation, you won't notice.
oh man, that would piss me off.
Yeah, but I guess that's why, uh, in prepping for, our chat today, like, that's why it was so much fun to go back through my collection because a lot of these games are kinda quick hits, like Hercules, like a lot of these PS1 games where you can pop in, play for 30 minutes, play for, an hour max, and then jump out and you feel like, it's like a nice snack. It's, you kinda got some playtime, you experienced something fun and all that, but you didn't have to get super bogged down in tutorials and like stories and giant cutscenes and a lot of that kind of stuff. So it's these Disney games are good for that because I mean a lot of them were made for kids, obviously. So it's not doing all this world building so much, and you're not like character creation, and it's not like have you guys played Elden Ring
Yeah,
or
amazing.
yeah. So yeah, incredible. But Elden Ring, where it took me like an hour just to get set up because I'm like trying to find the perfect name for my character and like, figure out my class and what I want to look like and what are my eyebrows and like all that kind of stuff. So it's like there's this barrier to entry with a lot of modern games, but these something like I got Bugs Life here and Tarzan, which is a classic and all
Amazing.
that kind of stuff. It's super easy to jump in and jump out of. And looking at the stack of stuff, most of the Disney games are real easy to jump in and out of and just spend some little bit of time with. And I think they, I don't have kids, but I have a niece, little, I think she's 7, and it's stuff that still kind of translates today. So I think we'll talk about Tarzan next because that's came out a couple years after Hercules. And this is another game I would put on a list of like classic Disney games for the PlayStation. It's even more 2.5D than Hercules was because you go through some like they're 3D environments this time. So all the environments are 3D, your character's 3D, but it's still a side scroller for the most part. But just beautiful game, great music, really colorful, and still kind of keeps that tradition of the classic 16-bit Disney style of gaming.
Yeah, that was
But
Sony's fault though. They were the ones that were like, we don't want any 2D
yeah,
games on our system. We want everything. So and like there were that's what there's so many PS1 games that are that 2.5D to get away with that. You know what I mean? Which we got a lot of weird, interesting. We got like Klonoa and stuff.
Klonoa, yeah.
And we got in R-Type Delta and like all the shmups.
Mhm.
All the shmups, they're like 2D side scrollings, and they're like, okay, fine. And then you have like this little
Flip the screen.
isometric sideways section for a minute, and you're like, yeah. And then you get back to the it's like they like all
Yeah.
these, I think the Mega Man X7, whatever the hell, 8 or whatever it was.
Mhm.
We got a Mega Man that was a 2D game. That's about it. Like almost every we weren't not allowed to get them. It's very weird.
Yeah, and you can feel their hand getting forced too. With every company went through that. Like with there's what was that game that was?
That's why like all the RPGs are like at an angle. Like everything is like a little off because of
like so many.
everything.
Yep. And
Yeah,
there's
so
some
funny.
stuff that are some games that are good in spite of that, like Mega Man Legends. Like it's obviously like a forced 3D game. But
That's
it's still
actually
great.
serious. I think it needs the remaster treatment. Everyone says, what would you like to see? Like get like a compilation.
Yeah.
I'd love to see those get like upscaled and with Tronbon, the two Legend games and Tronbon on a little compilation disc.
Yeah.
That would make me happy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they were doing that other chapter in it. Remember that? Like 5 years ago, there was going to be a third Mega Man Legends 3. I think it was going to be on the 3DS, something like that. But it.
I did remember hearing rumors about that.
I think there was a demo of it, and it's like PT. If you have the PT demo, you got to like, lock down your PS4. But there's some 3DSs have the demo of Mega Man Legends 3. And that's all that exists out in the ether because they shut that one down. But
they have they've released every single other goddamn Mega Man game on Earth on the PlayStation 4. I mean, we got the weird fighting ones that were, you know what I mean? Like
the Battle Network.
Yeah, the battle. Like we got the strange games even. So can we just get those? I don't even remaster them. Just put them on the disc. Just put Tronbon on the disc with the other 2 games, and then let me get that physically, so I don't have to ever have to worry about getting Tronbon again in my mind.
I would love that. And there's so many licensing issues, especially with these Disney games. I think it's hard to get any of them on the PlayStation 4 or 5 because of licensing issues. So you really, unfortunately, have to track a lot of this stuff down. If you want to go back and play this stuff. Going back to the 3D thing, so we had Hercules and Tarzan, and then the first full transition Disney did to a 3D game was Bugs Life, right here, which is based on the Pixar movie, and it is like one of those. I mean, just it's a pretty good game. It's not great. I wouldn't say you definitely need to play this or anything like that, but it's an example of like Disney games doing what they were really good at, but then being forced into being 3D and like them taking an immediate nosedive in quality because you're dealing with the just the mechanics of it. Like it would have been a super game, awesome game if it had just been like a 2D, 2.5D, but they forced it to be this big
Mhm.
3D thing, and it
Things
just
that let it
tanked it.
down are like the camera and different
Yeah.
things that you wouldn't even think about with a 2D game.
Yeah. So that was their first foray into that.
I just want to say too, like, you're 100% right that they were like almost like masters at 2D games. The
Yeah.
NES games are strong. Like
Yeah.
like when you say like I don't know, like when I'm looking for games to jump in and play, like I often play Chippendales. I often
Yeah.
play DuckTales. I throw those games on quite a bit because they're super
Mhm.
fun, straight to the point, like you said, and
Mhm.
they're just solid, good games.
Yeah.
Darkwing Duck is a good game, man. Like I don't know, it's just there's
Super
some
good.
yeah. So it's like I don't
Yeah.
know. It is kind
What?
of disappointing that they almost like that happens a lot when we transition to new systems. I feel like we have these developers that were so good on what they were doing before, and now
Mhm.
they're like develop for the PlayStation 3. They're like, what the fuck is this thing doing? They go out of business. Like, and it's like I feel like that. I don't know. They do a lot of there's a lot of franchises and companies that
Yeah.
they transition to the new platform. How many franchises died on the PS2? You know what I
Right.
mean? They like went for the
Yeah.
PS1 and they died on the PS2 or vice versa or something. It's weird.
And there's a lot of companies that are good examples of not making that transition very well, but some did do it. And what's funny about the Disney games is they never really recovered from that. The switch from 2D to 2.5D to 3D, like there was just something that happened where the games, there's a few shining examples that'll bring up that are like awesome, but for the most part, they got overly complicated, but they were obviously rushed at the same time. So I would imagine you can make a game on a short production schedule that's 2D, that's relatively simplistic and all that, but they're trying to make these complicated games on short time in short time frames to hit release dates of movies or when it hits video or something like that. And yeah, they just tanked. One thing I'll bring up real quickly though that is a pretty decent their first good 3D game is Emperor's New Groove. So
Didn't
that's
play
based
this.
on a yeah,
I've never played
really,
that.
really, really, really cool.
You have such
Uh,
clean copies of all your games, by the way. I just
oh,
as a collector, just everyone. I'm like, oh, it's so clean. So
yeah,
nice.
yeah, it's, I've always taken really good care of my games. Like, it's funny, like, I never sold anything, and I started hoarding my games in, like, early 2000.
So these are all
Probably
your games that you purchased on
yeah,
PC.
yeah, these are all mine from my collection.
Oh, cool.
But, yeah, so Emperor's New Groove, very cool 3D game. It's sort of like Spyro, I guess, like Spyro the Dragon, but they got the animation right in this. So the difference between Bugs Life, which came right before it, and this is pretty stellar. Like the animation's really good. It's not all janky and like stuttery and all that. Like it's nice and smooth. And yeah, I mean, it's Spyro with a llama, but instead of a dragon. But a very, very cool game. There's some good voice acting, good music. It's super fun, super colorful, and just kind of has that joyfulness about it. And I think it's, maybe that's the difference with some of these Disney games is it as fun to play as it is to watch the movie? Does it make you feel like a kid? Is it bright and jolly and joyful and colorful and vibrant and all that kind of stuff? And Emperor's New Groove is, yeah, I would put that on a list of not a must play, but maybe a step down from that. Like it's really worth checking out
I
for
want to
sure.
try it now you mention it's like Spyro. And
Yeah.
James,
Yep.
one thing I wanted to mention is these particular PS1 games you're showing. What's interesting about them is they weren't just regular releases. Like these were, when they came out, one of the best-selling games of the time,
Hmm.
and competing with the Spyro the Dragons and the Crash Bandicoots, and like everyone's played them when compared to I couldn't even tell you the last Disney game that isn't a Kingdom Hearts game that got a release, or that
Right.
isn't like a Disney
Oh.
Infinity title.
It's Dreamlight Valley is
Well-
the big game now. If you're not
Yeah,
aware what that is. Which is
Yeah,
like
I played
a
through it. It's
live service type thing.
okay. It's like a Disney's version of Animal Crossing. Is the best way to describe it. I played it for a little bit, and I was like obsessed with it for about a week, and then it just does what all of those things do, and it's repetitive missions. It's like how many times can you go fetch a basket of apples for somebody, or like that kind of stuff. So it's but it was a step in the right direction for Disney, because I think, as we'll get to, it's like they kind of dropped off production on things. I don't know if Disney has taken like a wait and see approach to what they do next. Like, with the Switch 2 on the way, and we don't know if Xbox is making another Xbox or what they're doing console wise. And, the PS5 already being almost, touted as not dead, but like they just said, they're over halfway through the life cycle. So they're already like putting it on it. They didn't say this, but it feels like they're thinking that it's on life support or whatever they think of this generation of games. So I have a feeling that Disney is being very, very careful about sort of what next steps they take.
I feel like no one's even making. I
unless-
feel like because no games coming out. Even I feel like
Yeah.
there's nothing even happening. I feel like the whole industry is like, let's just wait and see what happens, guys. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Grand Theft Auto's coming out next year, guys. We better hold off making games for a while.
right.
Well, that's true. I mean, if giant live service games eat up 80% of the market share, maybe you do just hang out and wait for a while, or I don't know. It's got to be really like not a great feeling to have worked on a game for 7 or 8 years though, and to be like not sure about releasing it at this point. And I don't know. It's rough. It takes a long time to make these games, guys. It's not like it like I don't know. How long did Nintendo games take to make? Like I feel like we got like 25 Mega Mans in 7 minutes.
Right.
Isn't that right?
Months, maybe high end, maybe 6 months, 8 months, something
Yeah.
like that. But still,
It's not like that
not
now.
long. Mm-mm.
So, like, I don't know. It's an interesting market right now. Let's put it that way.
It also feels like Sony these days prefer to go down the road of releasing games for, I wouldn't say adults, but
Mhm.
the whole MA R-rated game where if you want to play a kid's game, it's more likely on the Nintendo system. And I would assume if Disney wanted to do an IP, they would more likely go down the road of, well, let's release it with Nintendo, because that's where we're going to have more sales and different things like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree with that. That's kind of the only outlet, unless I wonder if the next generation of kids is even going to play a Switch 2 or whatever. Like, is it just primarily all the kids just on their phones playing games? Like, is it? It was funny to see the 3DS drop off as fast as it did, because that was the DS was huge. Like DS is what is it? Is it the biggest selling console of all time, or second after
Biggest
Either
handheld.
PlayStation
second
2?
or third, it's
Yeah,
absolutely
number one
crazy.
handheld, but I think it's the second overall.
ridiculous. But when
But for consoles, it's PlayStation 2, and then the Switch is number 2 right now.
Yeah.
Consoles, if you count the
Switch is going to be number one soon. It's a matter of time.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, just crazy the drop off once like iPhones or smartphones got introduced and took away a huge market share. And Disney isn't dumb. Like, I mean, I think they closed Disney Interactive and all
See what
that.
Flappy Bird did to our society.
Right. And
Damn flappy little bird.
right. And I don't know if kids are discerning enough to care. As long as the game's good and it's entertaining, do they care if it's on their phone or on a console or whatever?
But here's the
So-
thing. Here's the thing. It doesn't even have to be good or entertaining. Like they design a lot of mobile games just to be addicting.
Yeah.
If you're a poor
Yeah.
little kid, just
Yeah,
is
you just
like,
spend
"Oh,
money. Yeah.
I'm just gonna play this." You just get psyched, like logged into. I gotta log in to get my daily gem pack, and then I have to do this thing. And if I win 3 fights a day, I get an extra 22 boogity coins, and I can invest the coins to get squiggly gems, and I can then get a hat and blah blah blah. And then they just all that crap that like just psychologically hooks people in. I mean, dude,
Yeah.
ugh, it's
Well,
dirty.
that's an interesting thing, going back to what we were talking about, like about attention spans. I feel like in general, it's hard for me to get hooked on something like I used to, and I
Oh,
don't
you're
know if that's
lucky, bro.
if that's a me problem or whatever.
Like,
you know,
like a heroin addict, constantly afraid of games. Like, no, man. That's why I'm like, Final Fantasy, you need to stop. It's been going on too long.
I definitely haven't played certain games before because I'm scared
Yeah.
I'll get addicted to them. Like I never
Yup.
played World of Warcraft because I
Yeah.
know I got an addictive personality,
Yeah.
and I know friends who don't have
Oh.
lives because of that game, and I don't want to join them, even though they might have a good time. Sorry, I'm not going to get a part of it.
You're totally right, Figsy, but if you ever want to play, let me know. I'll play with you. I've been watching Asmongold lately, and he's been playing Classic WoW, and they released some like new content for like vanilla. It's kind of hard to describe. Like they took like the original thing, and they're like revamping it and tweaking.
I played Classic WoW when it first came out again. So.
All right, so anyway, like I swear it is like an itch. It is like a devil on my back. Like you love WoW. I'm like, I do. But I hate it. It's like I hate what it does to me, but I love it at the same time, man. I'm telling you, it's like a ex-girlfriend that you got arrested because you hung out with her 12 times, but you just keep hanging out with her and you can't help it because she's just something about her, man.
Yeah, I've got a few things like that recently. I think that my thing is it's fewer and further between. So it takes it. I feel like I play through about 10 games until I find that one game where I'm hooked on it. So I think the last one, Helldivers, I'm right on the edge. Helldivers 2. So
that's what
like,
I am afraid to play for that. That is one of those games because
Yeah,
it looks
exactly
so good, dude. It looks so good. I'm like, if I play that, forget it. I'm 3,000 hours later. They were like, Joe, where's your pickups? I'm like, hey, pickups, Helldivers.
I guess my thing with it so far, first impressions, I've only been playing it for a week, but you'll have really good, it's sort of like any multiplayer thing. You'll have a great time with it. Like you'll go in and play. The campaigns are usually about 40 minutes, 45 minutes is the time investment. And
that's a healthy amount, less than an hour. I like Dota for that reason. Games like that, they're not too long. Like that's not anything longer.
But you'll
than
go
that
in. Yeah, and the thing about it is, you'll go in and you'll play for 40, 45 minutes, and if you have a bad time, you're like, I'm never playing this thing again. Like, and then you put it down and come back to it, and you have a great one, and then you're hooked, and then you're playing it all night. But all it takes is one stinker of a campaign for you to be like, well, screw this thing, I'm done. So it's very up and down in terms of the addiction.
Yeah, Binding of Isaac is like that too. It's like if you just play it and you don't have like any good runs at all and you just get wrecked, like you'll probably quit. Like this game sucks. But if you get lucky and you have like a good combination of items and you become like god tier on a run, you'll be like, oh, this is so awesome, and you'll be chasing that high forever, like trying to get like, oh man. So you just need to have like those good runs, and then that's how you get hooked. But I get the design though. It's like you have to have bad runs too, otherwise that good run doesn't feel that great. Like
it has to be more bad runs than good runs. I relate it to PUBG. I got into the PUBG. And so the way Battle Royale works is 100 people go into the game, one person comes out the winner, and if you're not that one person, you're not going to have a good time unless you can have a good time. But majority of the time, unless you win, you don't have that experience, and you play until you get that dopamine feeling of winning, and suddenly that 30-minute game is turned into a 12-hour session that you're like, oh, what's the time? I gotta get up for work.
It's so funny how multiplayer games, I don't know a bigger discrepancy between like hating the game and it being one of your best gaming experiences you've ever had. Like PUBG is like that. I got down to two people. It was me and another guy, and I lost, but it was like, I mean, the rush and the high and the excitement, I put that in, like getting my Super Nintendo for my birthday one year, or like getting whatever your top tier gaming moments of your life is. But then my worst time,
when you're in that 1v1, your heart rate would have been at 180.
Yeah, crazy. But then when you get taken out in like the first 2 minutes, and you're like, this game is terrible. And so.
Yeah. And then you restart it and you die, and you restart it and you die, and you restart. Why am I playing this? But then you have that one moment where you're like, your adrenaline's up, and you get this feeling that, it's. I guess I kind of relate it to like sport, where you
Mhm.
see your team win in the last second and you get that dopamine feeling. Like you don't get it from many video games, but the Battle Royales did a really good job of giving you that like dopamine kick all at once.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
You know,
got.
oh, go ahead, man.
No, I was just gonna say I'm a little too old school. I've been playing Quake 2. That's my I like deathmatch, baby. No, none of this one winner. I'm just gonna run out like it's Valhalla and just blah! Like if you die, you just come back and you just keep. It's just a murder fest. I like that. I love that old school design, dude. Just like literally like you spawn and you just people are already there murdering you. Like it's just crazy. Also, what I think is really funny is in Quake 2. Even the NPCs like trash talk you and can give you the middle finger and stuff like that. And I think that is hilarious because I'm like, old games being like a toxic jerk was like part of the game. It was like built into the game. It was expected of you. It was expected. Like, this is how you teabag your friends. You hit this button. This is how you flick them off. This is how you swear at them in the game. Like it was part of the game. I like, and I'm playing it like, man, think times have changed. Like, we grew up on these streets, kid. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was the Wild West back then. Yeah,
it was. You were just expect. They're like, well, what would make all these young men have fun? Oh, you could teabag each other, flick each other. Oh yeah, 100%. Put that in the game. Like, I don't know. It's just so weird how like things have changed. I don't know.
You just got me thinking of Halo right now with the teabagging.
Yeah.
That one of the first games to do it properly.
I don't know, man, but it is infuriating when someone does that to you. I don't care how long it's been, how old you are. You're like sitting there, you like cook off a grenade on accident, something comes when he goes there. Just infuriating.
I always feel like I respawned with my tail between my legs, and I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. Or like you're embarrassed for some reason, even though you don't see the people or anything like that. So
I love those things. I love games like that. So I don't know. I miss that. The only thing I hate about online games too is like lobbies waiting. I hate waiting to play. Like when you're waiting for something you need. Look, we need 3 more people. I hated that about WoW too. Like I don't know if you ever played WoW, but like you would queue up for things, and if you're a tank or a healer, you would instantly get into everything because there's not enough tanks and healers. But if you're a DPS and you queue up, it's like 45 minutes, an hour, whatever, maybe we'll queue. Yeah, and so you'll be sitting there like 45 minutes an hour waiting to do a dungeon or something, and then you'll finally be like, oh man, I need a sandwich, and you'll go in the other room for 1 second, and you'll come back and your queue's gone. You're like, oh, I missed it.
That's an interesting point too.
Oh my god.
Kind of what you were saying earlier about just not having time, like if you have a relationship or family or whatever. I don't know about you guys, but I do most of my gaming late at night. So, after 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, something like that. Multiplayer games are hard at that time of night. Like I've been sitting in lobbies just trying to cobble together like 5 people just so we can have the bare minimum to start campaigns on stuff.
Yeah, I do not like that anymore. I don't like that.
Yeah, it doesn't have
the game I'm playing right now just added a really cool new feature. So I played GeoGuessr, which is a geography-based game. And there's 3 modes you can queue for. They've just added this feature that you can queue for all of them at once, and it will just give you the first available game. So my match queue times have gone from sitting in the lobby for 10 minutes to I haven't waited for more than 30 seconds to get a game. And it's
that's what I'm talking about.
Little quality of life thing that they didn't have to put in that they did, that just like, oh, you've solved queue times. Thank you.
Yeah, and WoW, you can queue as one of the 3 things. You can be a tank or a healer or a GBS. But if you pick tank, you're getting tank, baby. Like that's what's popping up. Like it's just one of those. Look, there's just not enough. But if you want to like level a character and you can tank, you can level a character, just run through dungeons like so fast because you can just tank and like and you'll get insta queues. So it's kind of fun. At least that's how it used to be. I don't know how it is now. God, I have no idea if they even have that anymore. So yeah, Disney does have a lot. So I the PlayStation era is great, but like I said, I love the NES games. I love the Super NES games, and I love the Genesis games. My actual favorite Disney game, personally, is the Mickey Mouse Castle of Illusion on the Genesis. You play that?
Can't believe you said that. Yeah, my favorite too. To this day, that's my favorite Disney game. My favorite too.
Yeah, you have impeccable taste, sir, because that's the best Disney game. It's such
they're doing a
game,
remake.
Dude.
Have you seen they're doing the remake?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's coming out on PS5. I don't. Maybe this year. I think it drops, but yeah, they're doing
Is
a
this the
full-on
same
remake.
game or a sequel or?
No, same game. I think they're
Okay.
they're redoing the original game and hopefully adding,
Sick. Yeah, I
um,
love that game, dude. I like
yeah.
Fantasia as well.
Mhm.
But that was Fantasia. I feel like was really hard. Like that game was
Very, very
hard, man. Like,
yeah.
and then there was another. Wasn't there another one on the Genesis too? Like not like there's Castle of Illusion, like World of Illusion or something like that too, or something like that.
Yeah, World of Illusion. Yeah.
And that one was
And
all right, but I didn't vibe with it as much as the Castle.
no, it didn't have the charm, and then the animation and controls weren't as good, which you need for those platformer type games. But Castle Illusion was like everything was spot on. Like it was super creative, it was
Mhm.
inventive, great environments, great music, all that kind of stuff. It's sort of we were talking about like something like DuckTales or those games that kind of rise above being a licensed game and are just flat out good games. And that's what Castle Illusion was. It was a great game first, but then it just happened to be a Disney game second.
We're on the
So I-
topic of remasters and remakes.
Mhm.
One that absolutely nailed it for me is the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 remaster of DuckTales.
Yeah,
It's such a good job. Fantastic.
it's funny. I got that right here in my stack. It's yeah. Remember so this came out in I want to say what was it
2013?
2012. It says on the back here, thankfully. But yeah, that remaster was really good. It looks beautiful. The music is great.
I was
think
going to say
above-
the music in that. Oh,
fantastic. Actually, just because it was a downloadable game when it came out, and then it went physical. I only just got this a few weeks ago, and the guy who sold it to me was like, sometimes I just put it on to listen to the music. Like he doesn't even play it; like he just has the music going in the background.
Yeah.
But yeah, beautiful.
So did you
Very
watch
cool
all the
game.
cartoons as a kid too? Because I love Tailspin and DuckTales
Yeah.
and Chippendales and like what was it? Gummy bears bouncing
Yeah.
and everywhere. I used to watch that every day, dude.
Yeah,
wanted-
Gummy Bears was
I
my
mean- Yeah,
super
dude,
super
that was
good.
like-
It was funny because yeah, it was like Disney was in your home for the first time because you had to go to the movie theater
So
or rent
good, too.
VHSs or something. But yeah, to have them on TV was great. The Gummy Bears is great. DuckTales is great. All those after school ones that you used to get. Chippendale Rescue Rangers, that was good.
DuckTales
Darkwing
is the
Duck.
best.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I love DuckTales the best. And then I love Darkwing Duck was cool, but it was a little corny.
Yeah.
'cause it was on purpose though. That was kind of the shtick.
Yeah, those DuckTales were really smart too. I think they were based off of the old Disney comic books from like the 40s. So a
Mhm.
lot of the scripts for the shows came from those. So they were just really well written. And I like that
Oh.
it was kind of like Indiana Jones for kids. Like you had these awesome adventures and all that.
Did they make Goof Troop games? I feel like they should have if they didn't.
Super Nintendo has a Goof Troop game that's actually really good.
Okay.
I don't think it was on anything else, but it's on Super Nintendo. That's worth tracking down if you've never played that.
I haven't actually. I was just
Yeah.
thinking about like what other ones shows that I like. I think Goof Troop came a little later though. It wasn't like in the original group of shows that I watched.
Yeah, I think it was cuspy between like 16-bit era and 32-bit era. So it was
you got a Mac.
You said the magic word. Woo! God, I love things. I think
Get all the Mac users to do thumbs up. So
it's funny too. I can't remember where somebody was talking about, but I didn't know this either. But I heard that someone said the Little Mermaid game on NES is really good.
yeah, really good. People didn't love it as much as DuckTales and Rescue Rangers when it came out, but I got it and I really liked it. I think it holds up a lot.
I want to
it's
try
very-
it because
Yeah.
it's never came across my radar. Just never had
Yeah,
that
it's
one.
got some cool play mechanics and the fighting system is really good. It is a cool game. It's not super hard or anything, but I guess it's sort of like Capcom medium difficulty. But it's definitely worth
That's-
playing through if you've never tried it.
Yeah, it's probably still like challenging. Like I said, I was trying some of these other games earlier. Just absolutely brutal. And then also, do you play Ghouls and Ghosts at all? I was playing the
Yeah.
new one, the Resurrection. That game. Oh my goodness,
Haven't
man.
tried it yet.
Oh man, like there's 4 difficulties, and even like on the second difficulty, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then like the third is it's doable, but it's not fair. It's totally unfrustrating. And the actual like the top difficulty is just outright sadistic.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't imagine like willingly trying to do that for more than like an hour of my life. It's like I've tried for like it was one of those things that's like an hour, and I don't think I got one level completed. I was just like, forget
Wow.
it.
Is it
Just
like
insane.
pattern recognition, or what is the difficult part of it?
So with that game, there's a lot of things that are weird about it. So the first is that like your jump, like you cannot alter your momentum of your jump in that game. Like in most games, if you jump and you hold down the back button, you will like slow your jump a little bit. You know what I mean? But like in this game, like
Mhm.
it's a full commit. Like you jump and you're going like, and you can't change like the angle. And just the way they have everything set up, it's like everything is just perfectly designed to mess you up. And like there is pattern recognition in a sense, but it's also RNG at the same time. So it'll be like, yes, this is where all 12 of monsters spawn, and they all kind of spawn here at the same time, but half the time they'll throw eyeballs at you from this direction, and this time they won't, or this guy will spit fire, and this time he won't, or this guy will swoop, and this time he won't. And it's like, so it's just, oh man, and it's just evil. And if you
Yeah.
like, it's purposely like a trolley game. Like it's
Mhm.
for some like me who's like wants something like, so if you want a game that's like it's like it's supposed to be too hard. Like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is perfect. It's but it gives you
There's some-
4 difficulties, so you don't have to either. You can chill out if you want to just like play on the first difficulty. You don't have to make it crazy about.
Yeah, I go back. There's some games like that that I absolutely love that are that hard, but the older I get too, I think I don't want to be stressed out when I'm playing a game.
This
I
game
love-
will
yeah.
100% piss you off. Like
Yeah.
it will. It is not nice.
Yeah.
My girlfriend literally was like, I think you should play something else. We're going to be on the news. So please sit that down. You know what I mean? Like, sitting there,
Yeah.
like, raging silently. Like, that's the scary rage, not the loud rage, the quiet rage. So, like,
Right. The
she's like,
fuming
you're going to
inside.
snap. I can tell. Like, let's go. Let's go out to eat. Yeah, like, it's so funny, man.
I mean, the Lion King on the NES was like that, right?
Oh,
The
brutally
one
hard.
kids game that no kid ever beat.
Yeah. What's funny about that game especially is it's beautiful. Like another game where the animation is wonderful, the music's great, colorful, and all that kind of stuff. But it's so hard that it kind of you hit a wall about halfway through the game. Aladdin is like that too, for Genesis, the Genesis version especially, where it's like game is unbelievably good, but you just hit this difficulty spike, almost like a Battletoads difficulty thing, where it's just so impossibly hard that you either persevere and learn the patterns and all that stuff, or you just give up. So
It's interesting because video games prior to the NES had to be made like that because
Yeah.
they were run on quarters. And the
Mhm.
harder the game was, the more money the machine made. But then
Yeah.
when you get the home console, it's like the complete opposite. You want people to actually finish these games
Mhm.
and not be stuck forever.
Well, they admitted that they made the games harder back then so people would rent them more
Yeah, good
Okay.
point.
because they would get I guess more money, I'm assuming. But I've heard developers say that they made the game harder on purpose so that you couldn't beat it if you rented it once. You had to rent it like a couple of times if you tried to beat it, if you could even beat it.
Yeah.
But
That's funny. That had an opposite effect on me as a kid because if I rented something that was too hard, I just wouldn't rent it again. I'd be like, screw this game. Like I don't I don't want to play a game that's no fun to play. But yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah, I wouldn't probably keep going back to a game that I didn't like that.
So I forget where we left off. Oh, so we're at the tail end of the PS1 and
Mhm.
everything, and then you were talking about how well these things sold. So one of the best-selling games Disney games ever was PlayStation 2. Was the Finding Nemo game, and
I
I
don't think
never
I played
bought
this
this one. Yeah, I never bought this one when it came out. I got this after the fact, a few years later, but, yeah, I mean, it's a greatest hits title, for one thing, but this thing was ridiculously popular. Like, this is one of those games that you go into any, gaming store and they've got, 20 copies of this thing. Or like, even your, like, pawn shops and whatnot, they've got, copies of it. It's also example of a game that's just not very good. So it's another, like, 2.5D, uh, style game, but it's just not fun.
I've never
Uh,
heard anyone talk about that game ever.
no, no, no,
Yeah,
no,
no,
it's a
me either.
stinker. It's funny for the amount of people who bought a copy of this thing. I don't know if anybody even liked it or just kids played it and they didn't know the difference or whatever. But yeah, this is one of the first Disney games on PS2. So this is just sort of the start of the
That, that's a
PlayStation
Christmas
2 era.
present game. That's a Christmas present game right
Right,
there.
right.
1000%. It's like,
I definitely associate the PS2 with the way a lot of those games would come out. If a TV show or a movie was popular, it got a PS2
Mhm.
game at the time. It didn't matter if it was good
Yeah,
or not, there was a PS2 version.
that's funny because that's when the Disney games took the biggest hit, I think. Even at the end of the PlayStation 1 era, so this is Treasure Planet on, PS1. This was made pretty late into the cycle. I forget when this came out, but I think the PS2 was already out when this thing got released. But they were still trying. Like, it's not a great game. It's a 3D kind of adventure platformer game, that's not super good, but they were still trying. Where you get to Finding Nemo, where that's when it started become not shovelware, but became like standard, movie tie-in games, licensed games, where they were threw something together. It was kind of an afterthought, but up until the end of the PS1, they were still like not every game was amazing, but they were still like putting a lot of thought. You could tell that a lot of effort was going into these things. But yeah, PS2 is when the factory started of just cranking out all this licensed stuff. And I think
oh my
another
God.
one.
Well, if
There
you
are
look from a consumer from a publisher point of view, if
Mhm.
they didn't put any effort into Finding Nemo and it still made
Right.
greatest hits and sold, then why are you going to put all this effort in if you're going to get sales
Yeah.
anyway? Makes sense, right?
Yeah, and another one that's along those lines is The Incredibles, which came out a couple of years after. I think this is '06, um, '06 release. This is better than Finding Nemo, but not all that much better. And it's funny,
which that should be a good game. It's a
should be good.
superhero game. It should be
Yeah,
a
yeah,
good game. Like you can
yeah.
literally have so much fun stuff happen in a game like that. Why?
It starts out pretty good. The first couple levels are good, and it's not a complete wash. Like this is one that if you find it for $10, this is worth picking up and playing through. But it's still there's nothing a whole in all that special about it. It's not a hidden gem. It's not anything you really need to play. It's sort of like if you have a $10 and an evening free, you can sit down with that one for a little while. And it's funny. It was uh, as average as those last two games were. Um, One of the next ones that came up on my when I was going through my archives was the first Pirates of the
Oh, no.
Caribbean game.
It
It's Legend
released
of
on
Jack
so many
Sparrow.
different systems, that one.
Yeah, yeah. So this thing is like actual trash. Like it's kind of broken. The graphics are terrible. And it's funny. This is a Bethesda game. Like Bethesda made this thing, and I think it came out. I think it was right after Elder Scrolls 4. So what was that? Oblivion came out, and it was before Fallout 3, I think. So in between those two like classic games, they put this out, and they obviously didn't have their top brass on this one, but yeah, just a stinker of a game, and not fun at all. Just completely like cash grab movie tie-in, and
Dude, now I'm gonna have that theme song stuck in my head though.
right. But sort of,
James, I can't think of
Dude.
the title, but I know on the PS3 what Disney were doing was they were reskinning games. So there
yeah,
was I can't think of the name, but there was a game, generic game. Didn't have a movie tie-in, and then they released the Disney version, and it was the exact same game, just they put the Disney characters in.
There are a few games like that. Yeah, I forget.
There's
I
an
forget
Adventure
which one you're
Time
talking
game
about.
that happened to. I'm
Yeah,
trying to think of it now. It's in my wall. Was it Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? Or
something like that. Meet the
one of
Robinsons.
those
One
like
of
quick
those. Yeah,
platinum games, and the
yeah,
trophy community is like, "Oh, this is the same game, guys. Got the same trophy list and
yeah,
everything."
yeah. There are a few reskins, which is funny. Uh, you go back to the PS1 era. There's like Disney Tetris, and then there was like Mickey Speedway or something like that, which was basically just a Mario Kart clone. But they did
Uh-oh.
slap their name on a few things. I got one of them here. I think this is close to PS2 launch. It's called Disney Golf. I'd never heard of this until recently too. It was, I think EA put this out, and it was just a reskin of one of their golf game engines from the time. And this is like as average of a licensed game as you can get. Like they put a few Disney characters in and a few, like I think there's a castle, like the Cinderella castle's on one of the courses in the background. Um, but yeah, total like cash grab. Cobbled something together and stuck it on a shelf. But there are a few of those. This is just one of those random ones where, like, I don't even know why this one exists.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's not
smart.
especially bad or anything, but it's just a big question mark on that one.
So if you're a game developer, what you do is you just
Yeah.
make like a golf game, a racing game,
hmm
and like a party game, and then you just shop
Right.
it around to like all of the different companies and just throw their characters in each of them and release all of the same games with all this. That's
Yeah.
genius. It's genius.
I guess Mario kicked that off. There was Mario Golf, which was like the first one, and then there's Mario Tennis, soccer, baseball, all that kind of stuff. And so I
Mar-
think,
Just
Mario
reading up now,
Golf
they're
itself
saying
is
that
amazing.
robotics mean Bean Machine and Kirby's Adventure are just reskins of the Pyro games.
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, so just
It's
straight
really been
license
going
on
on
top
for
of
a
something.
long time, and they're just, most of these games are that small that you wouldn't even notice unless you are like hardcore into the scene.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
and it benefits everyone too. Like the developers don't have to do a lot to change to reskin the game, and then Disney gets a licensed game out of it too.
when I went to Disney for the first time, I played Puyo Puyo in Epcot. In Epcot, they had like a bunch of arcade machines set up,
Yeah.
and you could play games. And I remember like I went there with my friend and his family, and like they were like normal human beings, so they were like, "Oh, games, cool. Let's go to do Disney." And I'm like, "No, I'm gonna stand here and play these games all day. You nothing. You're gonna make me. I'm not leaving this spot. Free arcade games, free. Are you crazy? I don't have to
Uh-huh.
put quarters in these things." And they were games from Japan. These were our
Mhm.
Japanese arcades. Like, and you just didn't
Mhm.
ever have a chance to play these games. And when I grew up, like you never saw stuff like this. And so I was like, please, let me just leave me. I'll find my way back to New England. Just go. They were like
That's
dragging me
funny.
out of there. But I always remember that. And I remember it's so funny how like people could never imagine, but I was blown away by Puyo Puyo. Like I
Mhm.
thought it was amazing. I'm like, this game is so fun. Oh my god. I thought it was the greatest game in the world. And now it's like, oh yeah, I'll play this for like 20 minutes, but all right, that's cool. Like, I don't know. It's just like so funny how things are different.
Yeah. Some things like that just catch you as a kid. I remember being my big one was Tetris Attack on Super Nintendo. There was a Pokemon Puzzle League. It's the same game on N64, but that was like the classic puzzle game that I was just obsessed with. Same kind of thing as Puyo, where I was just enamored with it, like just sucked in.
Fun game though, Pokemon Puzzle
Yeah.
League.
Yeah, great. Two real quick. Did you ever play Super Puzzle Fighter? That Street Fighter
Oh yeah,
puzzle game.
PS1. Yeah.
Ridiculously addictive. I love that game.
Would you guys like to play the Figsy quiz?
Yes. But there's like a new
Please.
game called Crystal Crisis. You should check out it if you like
Okay.
Puzzle Fighter. It's a similar type of thing. It's a competitive puzzler.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I'll check that out.
Guys, we have a very special quiz today. Our quiz today is entirely Disney themed. Who would have seen that one?
I thought it was DreamWorks. You lied to me.
Oh, that game I was thinking of as a DreamWorks game. Ah.
It probably will be.
Now, for the third week in a row, chat, you guys still haven't got the question that we've given you 3 weeks ago. So we once again have added a hint to the chat question. We won't move on until someone gets this game. So, guys, name that video game from the photos. There are now 3 hints on this little picture. Surely someone's going to get it.
Oh, I get it. I finally get the last picture. I'm so stupid. Oh, I get it. I get it. I get it now. I just don't know the first one.
All right, I'm sure someone will be able to get it this time. All right, let's get into the quiz, guys. So, as I was mentioning, it is a completely Disney themed quiz. So, this should be a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to set up. James, as you're our guest, would you like to go first or second today?
I will go second. You know what's funny is, even though I run a Disney account, my Disney knowledge is very specific. Like I like the things I like a lot, but I don't have this giant breadth of Disney knowledge that some may think. So this is going to be good. I'm looking forward to this.
I think you're going to do well. We've talked
All
about
right.
half of these games on the quiz already. All right, Joe, you're going to go first.
All right. I know the
Question-
quiz answer, so I'm answering it if no one gets it this week. I'm fucking saying it.
All right, question number 1. We'll give you guys until the end of the quiz. So if anyone wants that point, they've got till the end of the quiz, and then Joe's going to steal it. All right, question 1. Who was the publisher of Disney's Haunted Mansion video game? Is it THQ, TDK, Konami, or Capcom?
Based on absolutely nothing, I'm going to say THQ.
THQ is incorrect.
No, that's a shocker.
For the steal?
I was going to say THQ myself because they did so many of these things. Is it TDK?
Correct answer. TDK. James takes the
about
first
that?
one.
You know what's funny is I didn't even realize. I just know them from making like cassette tapes from.
I was
when
just
a
gonna
kid.
say I thought TDK. I didn't know TDK made games. I'm like, what is TDK? I thought that they make cameras or some weird shit.
Right.
Hey, everyone was making PS2 games back in the day.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to question number 2. James, this one's for you.
All right.
The cover. This is the cover of which game franchise? Is it Karaoke Revolution, Sing It, SingStar, or Dance Dance Revolution?
Man, that's tough because they're all basically the same except for Dance Dance Revolution. My memory is right. I'm going to say it's Sing It.
Sing It is incorrect.
Oof.
Joe, for the steal?
Karaoke Revolution.
Also incorrect. It was actually Dance Dance Revolution.
Wow.
Ah,
Alright,
that's-
moving-
you know I'm a huge Dance expert too. And
Alright,
Miley
moving on to
Cyrus
question
fan.
3.
My words were crossing over and I still messed it up.
Joe, this one's for you.
Okay.
Disney's Hide and Seek is an exclusive for what console? The GameCube, the Wii, the PS2, or the Xbox?
Oh, never heard of this game. I'll say the Wii.
The Wii is incorrect. James, for the steal?
I actually don't know this one either. I'm going to say GameCube.
Correct answer.
All right.
GameCube. James, takes
Getting
the-
crushed.
Wow. It's a
You said
Capcom
this
game
was
too.
going to be DreamWorks.
It looks like a game that would be expensive these days.
It does.
Mm.
All right, question number 4. James, this one's for you. I'm going to show you a video game, and you have to tell me the missing word in the title.
Oh man, something blank world, blank world. Well, it's not Disney World. It's not Disney World. Um, is it something stupid like Fantasy World?
Fantasy is incorrect. Joe?
I believe this is Magical World.
Magical is correct. You're right with it. It's something stupid like yeah, it was just the other one.
Guess who
So,
owns both Magical World 1 and 2 on the 3DS? Heck yeah. I was gonna talk about those games earlier when we were talking about the 3DS, but we just got off track. So
are they any good? Real quick.
they're okay. They're decent. I like them better than Dreamlight Valley. They're more
Okay.
like finished. I don't like live service games. That's what I just have a huge bias against those types of games. So
Yeah.
not that game's Dreamlight Valley is probably a better game in every way, but I just don't like the buy a season pass, log in. I don't like any of that crap, man. I don't like any of that stuff.
Same.
All right, moving on to question 5. Joe, this one's for you. And you also have to put the missing word in the game title.
Okay. Butt games. No, I'm just kidding. It's bug. I will say bug.
Bug is incorrect. James?
Oh man. I'm trying to think where they are. What's their location? It looks like they're in the jungle. Is it Jungle Games?
It is Jungle
How
Games.
about that? Wow.
Very nice.
Well, the artwork, whoever designed the artwork for that did an amazing job because
Yeah, 100%.
Really
I like
tied
when
it all
you're like, I'm
together.
trying to work out where they are. And I'm like, oh, he's onto it here. All right, James, question number 6. Again, you have to put the missing word in the game title.
Ooh, is it Villains?
It is Villains. Well
How
done.
about that? I actually don't know that game either.
What is that game? That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, what is this? I want to play that. I want to play the Queen just off with the heads, just cutting off everybody's heads.
All right, Joe. Next one's for you. Name one of 2 Disney characters on the front cover of the first Kingdom Hearts game.
Goofy.
Goofy's correct. I would have also accepted Donald Duck. All right, moving on to question number 8. James, this one's for you. Which
Alright.
Disney character tried to catch chicken eggs in the Nintendo Game Watch handheld?
Is that Mickey Mouse?
It is Mickey Mouse. Well done.
I was just talking to my brother about that the other day. We were talking about our old Game & Watch games. Man, I used to have this one. I bet that would be worth some money. I don't know where it went to.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
In the box and
Yeah.
everything, it would be for sure.
Hmm.
All right, moving on to question number 9. Joe? Name any one of the 2 Street Fighter characters missing from the screenshot of the Disney Wreck-It Ralph movie.
Ken. It's got to be Ken, the red. It's got to be Ken.
Ken is incorrect. James?
Wow.
Oh man, I only saw this movie one time. I think it's Zangief.
Zangief is one of the answers. So Zangief
Yeah.
or M. Bison we were looking for.
Mm.
All right, moving on to question number 10. James, you'll go first. Disney's classic games Aladdin and The Lion King were re-released in 2019. 2 years later, the updated version of the game was released. What was the game added to the completion pack?
Oh, I know this because I had to buy this stupid thing twice. Jungle Book. They added Jungle Book,
Jungle Book is correct.
which is
Yeah, I think-
the worst of the 3, but it's still pretty good.
I think every person was like, "Why did you guys make me buy this twice? Why did you do this?
Mhm.
Why?" I
And
think
they
they
did
added
just
better
add-
versions too, didn't they? They added
Yeah,
more like
they
versions of the
added-
games or something.
They added the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin, which they didn't put
Hmm.
in the first one for some reason. So they updated it. So they just put out I don't know if they realized they put out
inferior
a busted
version.
one. Right,
Genesis
right.
version, it was the better version of them.
Definitely better.
All right, question 11. Joe, this one's for you. What Japanese company developed Disney's Aladdin for the Master System and Game Gear consoles? This company has exactly the same name as one of EA's most known and popular franchises.
What is the who? What is this? What am I being asked? Who
What
adapted
Japanese
them?
company developed Disney's Aladdin
Oh,
for the Master System and the Game Gear? And the company has the exact same name as one of EA's most well-known and popular franchises.
mm. I can only think of stupid answers, man. I don't know. I don't know. Pass. I have no idea.
All right, James, hand it over to you.
John Madden. He was a big Aladdin fan.
I like the way you're thinking outside the box there. But the answer we were
No.
looking for was Sims.
Wow, how about that? I
All
bet
right,
that
moving on to
that Master System version has to be expensive. I've got the Game Gear one because they made that in mass quantities, but like those late period Master System games are worth a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't think we got a lot of those in the United States either. Those were
Mhm.
released like Europe and Brazil and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of them. So yeah, it is amazing sometimes when you're like freaking Tony Hawk 4 was on the Master System. What the fuck?
Right. Well, you're right because
the
the Brazilian market kept the Master
Mhm.
System going until like the late '90s or something like that. It was ridiculous.
Mhm. It is ridiculous. There are games on
Yeah.
there that you're like, what? How is this thing? And
Mhm.
they're not the same game at all, but
Right.
It's still cool.
yeah, it is
All right,
cool.
question 12, James.
I
this
love the
one's for you.
Master System, by the way.
Mhm.
Huge fan. Somebody got the chat question right, by the way. I'm just thrilled to point that out. I saw it in the thing earlier.
What is the name of the Jungle Book Grooves Party game title released in North America?
What's the name of the? It's not
So
just
this is
Jungle
the
Book Group
PAL
Party.
version. What's the North American version?
Oof. Groove Party. I don't know. My family's actually from England. I was born in England. So I'm trying to think what the US version of Groove would be. Can I say Jungle Party to go throwing back to the Lion King one?
Not Jungle Party. I do like where you're coming from, though. Joe, do you know this one?
Dance Party.
Yeah.
Answer we were looking for was the Jungle Book Rhythm and Groove.
That's actually pretty. That's a better title. I like that.
All right, Joe, you're up for question number 13.
How many questions are in this quiz?
Told you it was a big quiz.
Oh
There's a
my
reason
goodness.
why I hadn't had it ready.
Lordy. All right.
All right, I'm now going to show you a screenshot of a video game,
Mhm.
and you have to tell me what video game it is.
Okay. Is it Hercules?
That is Disney's
All right.
Hercules.
Okay. Sweet. We're on the board. Wait, I got one
James,
more.
I'm going to show you a screenshot of a game, and you have to tell me what video game it is.
All right.
What is happening
Ooh.
here?
I mean, it looks like Toy Story. I see the sheriff badge in the top left, and there's obviously toys and whatnot. I can't for the life of
Story
me.
is
Oh,
correct.
Genesis.
I'll say
Yep,
that.
there it is.
All right, final question. Once again, Joe, I'm going to show you a screenshot, and you have to tell me what video game it's from.
Okay. It's Donald Duck. Is it Quackshot?
Quackshot is incorrect.
Okay.
James?
Then the other one that he's in.
Is this the? There was that one on the PS1 and 2. Is it Going Quackers or whatever it was called?
Correct answer we were looking for was Mally Mallard in
Oof.
Cold Shadow.
Wow.
What? What? That looks badass.
It does.
I didn't know there was some Ninja Duck game. That looks awesome.
Like
never
Bert
heard
So
of
Bottom
guys,
Fish.
after 15 questions, we have a
Mhm.
winner. On
Mhm.
3 points is Joe, but today's winner with 8 points is James. Well done, James.
Close.
Ooh.
Oh, we do have a correct answer. After 3 weeks, Turner has finally done it. Correct answer was Spot Goes to Hollywood. It was a tough one, but we know you guys can get it. Well done.
Very good.
I still don't get how Spot's from Tops, but anyway.
So the first picture, the black and white, was like really messing with me for weeks. You know what I mean? Like I did not understand that. Like white and black, black and white, black. I'm like, I don't
Mhm.
get it. I don't get it. But I thought it was the colors. So
It makes sense. Like if they were dogs with spots or something, then you instantly know it. But yeah, no, I can see it.
yeah, you should have put like a guy with like leprosy with like big liver. I don't know. Sorry. Well done, though. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
What other
thank you.
games have you got to show us today, James?
So, how much more time do we have? I want to make sure I'm pacing this out.
45
Okay.
minutes or so. Plenty of
All
time. If we
right.
go over it, it's all good.
All right. Well, we were left off on the PlayStation 2. So I showed you a bunch of not so good games on the PS2. The later period ones get a bit better. So I'm going with the original Cars for PS2. A lot of people like Cars 2 better. That was, I think it's on PS2, but it's on PS3 and PSP as well. I prefer the first Cars because the environments. So it takes place in Radiator Springs. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but um, Cars 2 is just like a bunch of racetracks and your typical courses. This is cool because you're going through the desert and you're going through all these old towns and whatnot. Um,
Those
this
games
one
are
stands.
alright.
Yeah, they're pretty good. The new one is terrible. Cars 3, I think Driven to Win or whatever.
Okay,
That
that's
thing's
interesting.
garbage.
What about
Yeah.
Racer
There's a
Rama
PSP
and-
game I liked a lot.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I do have Cars 2 on PSP.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. It is good. It's funny. This is a side scroller almost. It's not your typical 3D behind the back of the car one. So this is more interesting than it is good. But going back to
More interesting than good.
I have quite a few games like that. Wouldn't
Yeah.
fit that description in my collection. I'm like, I bought this one because it's just weird. It's not
Yeah.
good. It's just like you're a dinosaur that like has a wheelchair and it shoots missiles out of its butt. I don't know. I had to.
It's funny. I find myself a lot of times having to give that caveat where it's like, if you're like me and you like interesting games or like you want to see like they did a cool mechanic, but the game's trash, definitely pick it up. I love games like that, but I have a hard time recommending stuff like that unless people have that same kind of mindset. But going back to this Cars, this one is really good because Pixar was heavily involved in this. Like it has the voice cast, like George Carlin, Paul Newman. The other people that did the voices actually recorded lines for this. Pixar helped with the cutscenes. There's actually sequences in here that were cut out of the original movie. So they used some like cutting room floor, like storylines and things like that for this actual game. I wish it was just a tiny bit better, but as it goes, like, we were talking about the amount of effort that Disney put in. This is out of all the PlayStation games, I would say they put the most amount of like muscle and sweat into this one. The level of investment is very, very cool. So Cars is one I
It's cool
have.
to hear that there are
Yeah.
games out there like that. I always bring up on this show the Scarface game on PS2. How if you watch
Yeah.
the movie, the video game is like a sequel, and you get
Yeah.
that full experience. That's cool to hear that there are some Disney games out there on the PS2.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's random, like the ones that they actually decide to put like a whole lot of effort and take seriously. But I guess the Pixar team, John Lasseter and all those guys. Well, John Lasseter's disgraced now at this point, so we can't bring him up. But
Does he work for
um,
Netflix now or something? Isn't he
I
doing
don't
something?
know. Actually, I don't know what happened to him.
I'm pretty sure he's doing something for somebody somewhere.
Right.
I could be
right.
wrong. I like I know a little about Disney, but I don't follow
Mhm.
it like deeply or anything like that. But I do know some. So
So that that cards game is kind of the high watermark on the PlayStation 2 era. And just in terms of production, the amount of
he owns
effort.
Discovery.
Yeah. Oh, he does.
That's what
Wow.
Speed Killer said. So he's doing all right.
So that was a THQ. It's funny I think three of the games I've shown so far for PS2 are THQ games. Here's another one is Ratatouille. Now this one isn't great. The environments are awesome and it looks really cool. It doesn't play all that well. Like
I
the controls.
My THQ guess was solid.
Yeah,
Bullshit.
right.
TDK.
The one TDK game anyone has ever talked about, or probably that they made, right?
Yeah, they made Blake VHS tapes or something, or
I know.
cassettes or something.
That
I
Haunted
think
Mansion
Ratatouille
game,
is an
yeah,
interesting one because the PS2 version is really cheap. But if you want it
yeah.
on the PS3, you're looking at $30 to $40.
Is it really?
Quite interesting to me. Yeah, there's a few of
Wow.
the Disney games like that, like the Shrek games
Huh.
are all quite expensive on the PS3, and the Toy Story Mania 3 is like a
Yeah.
$60 game over here, and there's a few of them that are quite expensive.
It's interesting when a licensed game takes off like that because you expect them just to be in bargain bins and all that. So the ones that actually turn into valuable or collector's items is pretty interesting.
I think 50% of the reason is because collectors want it, and
Yeah.
majority of the people owning these games were kids. When I was collecting these games, I found them all the time, but
Yeah.
finding one in good condition, complete with no scratches, was the hard part.
The instruction manual, anything like that. Yeah.
Oh, this one's been chewed.
Right. There's like peanut butter and jelly on them or something like that.
Or
But
even just like opening the manual and it's been written over because a kid owned it and was in love with it and wanted to write in their game.
yeah, it's funny. I used to hate that. Now I kind of like that because you'll see like some kid drew like sketches or like, you know, like I opened one up one time and like some kid drew a stick figure of his mom and dad and there's like a heart next to it. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like I wish I could track this person down and give it back to him because it's a nice memento. But yeah, so the Ratatouille, I want this game to be amazing because I really actually like the movie a lot. It's one of my favorite Disney movies, but it's a case of environment's great, all that looks good. It's just not that much fun to play, unfortunately. Um, the most interesting thing about this, though, is if you see on the cover, it says there's a voucher for a free Ratatouille movie ticket. I don't know if you guys remember that era where like DVDs, like if there was like a new Predator movie coming out or a new sequel coming out, sometimes the DVDs would have a free movie ticket in them or something. And some of these licensed games used to come with a movie ticket. This one, like, it still has the movie ticket
Oh, nice.
in the
Nice, man.
package.
Okay.
Yeah, which
That
is pretty
stuff's
funny.
really
In the
desirable.
the hardcore scene, there's a full subset of all the games with the movies, and to get all the games with all the
Yeah.
movie tickets, some of them are so hard to find because it's
Mhm.
like
People
that
wanted to go see
one
the
version
movie.
is
It's like-
extremely rare, and then actually
But like the
finding ticket-
Matrix, right? It's like the Matrix one, isn't that? Because
Yeah.
everyone went to see everyone wanted to see the Matrix.
Right, right.
They were like, "Yes, I'll go see it again." Pretty
This
sure that's
is,
the one. I could be wrong.
It's pretty funny though. It expires August 29th, 2007. And it says, so pay to the authorized movie theater, maximum of $7.50. So it only went up to $7.50 back when this.
You wouldn't get a trailer for $7.50.
I know, right? So that's Ratatouille. So I'm going to end the PlayStation 2 era on what I consider it's one of the few hidden gems on my list today. No one's more surprised than me. So GeForce on
That's
the
a good game.
PlayStation
Oh,
2.
I thought you were about to show Kim Possible.
No, you know what? Kim Possible has gotten some attention, so I didn't feel like I needed to wheel that one out. But GeForce, I don't hear get talked about very often. Now, the movie is not a good movie. Like I don't know anyone who remembers this thing, but it's a case of a licensed game that has no business being good. Like this game should not be good.
That's
But
well.
awesome. It's
I can't
it's a
find
cool-
it. I have it on PS3. It's
Yeah,
a really
Yeah,
good
me
game.
too. Me too.
The PS3 version's better. Like the lighting actually is really good on the PS3 one, and it
Again, it's a PS3 game that isn't easy to find and isn't
yeah.
in that bottom. It's in that like $20 to $30 range.
Yeah, but it's fun. I mean, you don't
Great graphics. It looks
great graphics.
gorgeous.
Yeah. Great lighting, animation. It's fun, like kind of inventive. You got like a little, I think, like a little robot mosquito sidekick that can go through air vents and like do some recon for you. Levels are great. The action's really good. Like you've got guns and whatnot. Like the shooting's really good in it. But yeah, just very odd game to be as good as it is. And I'm glad you guys have it. But yeah, I just don't get it here. Don't hear people chatting about that one very often.
It wasn't one that was recommended or anything like that. It was just when I was into buying PS3 games and I was going through the library. Like I was just like, this looks dope.
Yeah,
I'm like, it just looked really good. So I grabbed it because it looked amazing. It looked like a PS4 game to me. I thought it looked right. The graphics were incredible. So.
you know what's funny about the PS3 one too is it has 3D mode on
glasses.
it.
Yeah.
It comes with 3D glasses. It looks terrible, but it's like it was in that very small window of time when PS3 games like came with a 3D mode as an option.
And it's even harder to find the version with the glasses, of course.
Yeah, I bet.
There's some dude in Rhode Island who put up the PlayStation 3 3D TV for $50 on Marketplace. And I'm like, God damn it, man. Why you got to be in Rhode Island? I am not going to Rhode Island for this fucking thing. If it was like, it is, it's definitely too far for that.
Yeah.
It's not $50 anymore if I drive to Rhode Island. Let's put it that way. It's the deal ain't so good. But if it was even remotely close, oh God, I would have bought it immediately.
That's funny you mentioned that up. Bring that up because I'm on top of being like a video game fan. I just love technology, and I love weird technology. And that PlayStation that PlayStation TV is just a very odd anomaly in the in the PlayStation's history that they made this little small 3D TV specifically to push the 3D agenda because they thought it was gonna take off or something like that, like the thought process
just
behind
like UMDs, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Or the I don't know if you guys get the PlayStation TV, which I have a box version of here, where it's like the ideas that went into this and that they packaged
Nintendo
up
Switch. That's the first
Right,
Nintendo
right.
Switch. The Vita was the first
Basically, yeah.
Nintendo Switch.
Yeah,
And these
But,
days, you're looking at like $400 if you want to find one of those things because it's
Yeah.
just what they can do are pretty amazing, especially if you own a Vita.
yeah, absolutely.
See, I'd rather get one of those and mod it and throw all my games on it and play with a controller than play with the Vita at this point.
Yeah, I brought up the Vita. Like it's good. Like I mentioned, it's good for classic PS1 games and PSP games.
That's what I
around
use
here.
it for. I play PlayStation 1 games on my Vita.
Yeah. But I don't know. I never really liked the thumbsticks on it all that much. The D-pad, I don't know. There's something about. I know you can get grips for it. I've got grips for it, but just never big fan of just the ergonomics of this thing or like playing on it. Never felt.
well, they-
I felt the
So-
same way about the PSP. I always felt
Yeah,
flimsy
same.
and-
Oh, I just hate the screeching of the PSP. The disc.
Yeah.
But when you press the button in, it feels like there's a big gap between the button. I don't
Yep.
like that.
Funny you mentioned the PSP. I do have just a couple things here. So I showed off Cars 2 already, and then one. I think you mentioned Toy Story 3 just now. The one really good game on the PSP is Toy Story 3. Now it's a version of the one that's on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Great game. This is one of those, I'd say a top tier Disney game, especially this era. It's really good. There's the story mode, which is really good. It's great animation, great levels, feels really good. It's got the toy box mode too, which is sort of like this open world place where you can like make your own town and kind of walk around. So it's kind of two games in one. This PSP version though is just all the action elements, and I mean it's almost as good as the PS3 version. This is really, I think this one, the PSP one's cheaper, obviously, because nobody wants to deal with those with these discs. But Really cool option if you have a PSP and you want to play a great Disney game. The Toy Story 3 game is great.
Mhm.
And then last one, I don't know. I've got a sealed copy of Tron the movie on for my
I love it.
PSP, which is yeah, ridiculous. Like
I
I don't
love
know.
Tron.
I love Tron too.
The original Tron I love, and I am a big fan of the remake, the new one too. Like I don't know, I
Yeah,
guess a lot of people don't like it. I thought it was great. I
I
think
thought it was great.
I thought the opening was ridiculous.
Mhm.
Like the
Yeah,
whole like the beginning with the kid in the building and jumping out, that all that was like, okay, this is dumb. But everything after that is fantastic. Like actually in the Tron thing, like I loved it. And you know, of course, it's got Jeff Bridges in it, which
yeah,
already like you've won me over. Like sign me up. And
yeah.
I heard they were
Tron's
thinking about making another one, and it just never happened, right? Like I would like.
no. It got announced what last week or the week before.
Oh, did?
Yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
think it's coming out. I don't. Yeah, I can Google it real quick, but yeah, the third Tron is coming out
good.
soon.
It should have.
I
It
think it's
should
called
have.
Ares. Yeah, it's Jared
Ah,
Leto's in it. Um,
no, that's not good. No, I'm just kidding. He
yeah,
was in what was he in? Blade Runner 2?
Blade Runner. Yeah, so October
Yeah.
10th, 2025. So we're getting it next fall.
I'm excited
So,
for that. That's
yeah,
cool. I like those movies. They were fun. They were cool
yeah.
movies, and I think they look fantastic. And I like Daft Punk, so yeah, it was all good.
Ahead of its time too. Like this is in that weird era, that early 80s Disney era before um
Oh, that movie at the back in the heyday. That I mean, if you're a video game fan, that was a huge deal. That
huge
movie.
game.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Especially if you like Atari and stuff. You're into that type of games.
yeah, but it was just like a giant flop at the time. Like that early era, early 80s Disney was like they were going through an odd time, really transitional time.
Oh, they
But
made a lot of weird movies. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, Black
a lot of
Cauldron,
live
which I think we
action.
talked about. Yeah,
That's a good movie. So I was actually I don't want to go too off topic, but one of the
sure.
things is like, didn't Disney recently announce they were like no longer making Blu-rays and they were ending their
I
like
think
Blu-ray
so.
service and all that stuff? Yeah. So like when I
Yeah.
heard that, I went out and got a few. I bought like Flight of the Navigator. I ordered Black
Hmm.
Cauldron. I'm trying to get like some of the DVDs that I'm just like worried will be rare. But I also at the same time I'm like, somebody will put out more Disney DVDs. It's too profitable. Like somebody will. Like even if Disney doesn't want to do
Yeah,
it, like they'll let Sony make them or somebody make them. I'm assuming. I just
I think
crazy.
so.
you
but
would hope so.
hard to know these days with physical media of movies and stuff.
I don't know either. But that's just. Oh wait, Sony is taking over Disney Blu-ray. Okay, so
there
that's
you go.
exactly what because yeah,
Mhm.
so that makes sense to me. Because
I
it's
know they
just
got
like,
canned in Australia though. There's no more Disney Blu-rays being done in Australia, which is kind of sad.
I don't give a shit
Yeah,
about that. I just
yeah, it's kind of sad too. Because do you remember, Joe? Do you remember growing up as a kid and like a new Disney release was such a big deal, like getting Aladdin
yeah,
on VHS and
it was a
those
huge
old
deal.
school, like those puffy cases that they used to come in.
The
Yeah,
big clamshell, the big
yeah,
Clamshells, that's it. They're the nostalgic ones these days. People want the
yeah.
big clamshell case.
yeah.
Side,
No,
side,
Like Rugrats, and it was orange. I
yeah,
remember like being 5 years old. I remember that.
I feel like we were all hyped for every Disney movie that came out up until like Hunchback of Notre Dame,
yeah, yeah. That's
and
it.
then that's when it started to peter off for my family. But
Yeah,
that's also because we kind of got a little older. So I mean, I'm sure Mulan and there was a few other movies that are Pocahontas and stuff that people liked, but for us, it was like
hmm
Hunchback was like kind of like the last one that we were really super excited for.
yeah. That's it's
And we
interesting
didn't like
thinking
that
about.
very much either, to be honest with you.
No, it wasn't
But
crazy
like
about
Little
it either.
Mermaid, Aladdin, and Beauty and the Beast, bangers, baby.
I know.
That was insane. All three of those movies crushed. Like
Yeah, like
everybody was singing all the songs. Like they were huge. Yeah.
yeah, getting those three in a row were
Oh, Lion King
gigantic.
too. Lion King as
Yeah,
well.
you know.
Forgot about that.
But you're right, and it's funny that the sort of another bad period of Disney, or like less popular period of Disney, started right when the PlayStation 1 dropped, too. So just the properties that they had to draw from weren't as good as what came before it.
Pixar became their whole
Pixar,
they
yeah,
took over, and those were
yeah,
great though. Like I do love Toy Story and
yeah,
Monsters
incredible.
Inc. and all those early movies. Incredibles, I really like that
Finding
movie. So.
Nemo.
Yep.
Yeah, Finding Nemo's classic.
Yep.
Which
Got a
director
real
done
quick
by Pixar?
DreamWorks.
That's DreamWorks.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yep. Quick question for you guys:
Mhm.
Has anyone ever watched a full movie on a UMD on their PSP?
No.
I have only when I was on a plane, and it was
Yeah.
like 2013. So it was still a relevant time to be
Yeah.
like, "This is cool." I wouldn't do it these days.
Yeah, I only did it one time. Same thing. I was traveling to visit family in England, and it was all I had. I mean, you didn't have video iPods even back then. Like that was the best thing you had. And it's like I burned all my batteries on the plane flight because you didn't have chargers on
Yeah,
planes
yeah.
back then. Or
And then you
like,
get you're in another
yep,
country and the charger doesn't fit in the wall.
right, yeah, same thing. So I couldn't play my PSP or charge it up. So I got that one use out of it. So I could watch
I didn't
Office
have it on the
Space.
flight home.
Right. Oh man, so we're transitioning. We did PS2, we did PSP quickly. PS3, we've already talked about DuckTales, which came out. But there are a couple notable games here. So going back to Tron real quick,
I
Tron
wanted to ask you if
Evolution.
you played this.
Yeah, and this is this is one of those 3D enabled games we were just mentioning. Tron's a pretty good game, man. It's got PlayStation Move support. Like they were trying to do a lot with this. Not a lot of people loved this game. It wasn't super warmly received, but I always really liked it because I like the property a lot. And they did put a whole lot of effort into making this thing good. Like some time and effort went into making this thing look good. I'm a fan of Tron Evolution if you can find it. I think and you're a fan of the series. It's really cool to be in that world. Sound
Mhm.
effects are great. Like the graphics are cool. They did I think they did a really good job with this one.
I played the Bollywood version of that, which is RA1, the video game.
Yeah.
That was an experience and a half.
Coming after that, we've got, I guess, what would count. I would count it as a hidden gem a little bit. So this isn't based on one of the best movies, but we've got Brave for PS3, which I think is very cool because it's a twin stick shooter like Robotron or Smash TV,
Really?
like that era. Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
you
like one of
play.
it's my second favorite genre.
It's
Shmups
so
like
awesome, man. Yeah.
I always say that like shmups are like the most attractive woman you've ever seen in your life, and twin stick shooters are her like slightly less attractive sister, but you'd be totally cool with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
You'd be
it's
totally cool with
weird.
her.
I mean, whoever greenlit Brave being a twin stick shooter, like hats off to whoever did that because it's a major property that they shoehorned into like a genre that not a lot of people do flat out, but like Disney especially doesn't make games like this. I think that's why it's so unique. The environments are great, good graphics, action packed, like just very cool. A little bit more violent than you would expect from a Disney game.
I'll check it out. I
You know,
love twin stick shooters, so if it is good, I'll absolutely check it out.
yeah, man, I really do like Brave a lot. I think it's underrated and it's something people don't talk about very much. Um, so it's funny we're closing out the PlayStation 3 era, and we're kind of closing the book on Disney games for a while because they launched Disney Infinity, which came out, I believe, in 2013. So Disney Infinity, I mean, for the people who might not know about it, it's one of those Toys to Life games. So it's like Skylanders, yeah, and Lego Dimensions. So you have one of these, which is like the portal, they call it, and you put your little action figures on the portal and suck them into the game, and you play them in different levels. So this is the starter pack. You got Sully from Monsters Inc., Monsters University. You got a Jack Sparrow, and then you got Mr. Incredible from The Incredibles. That was in like the starter pack.
These things are going to be 1,000 million% insanely expensive in the future, by the way.
Yeah.
Even if they're dirt cheap now, I would bet $1 million there will be people who are adults who are like, I want to get all the Skylanders. I loved that game when I was a kid. And those things are going to be so valuable.
The mate that just spent $500 on one Skylander last night. I still can't. No, and he drove like 3 hours to get it as well.
I mean, mad
It's-
respect.
Are they already that expensive? Are they already that? Like, I
There
didn't
are
even
like
realize.
$500 plus guys.
Oh, I
Wow.
thought those things were still cheap. All right, never mind. I guess that's already a thing.
Funny is I don't get it because like I understand. I like the Toys to Life concept. I think that's cool. But thinking about when I was a kid, these things aren't articulated. Like I wouldn't really necessarily want to play with this thing. Like
Mm-mm.
the game aspect is cool, but like I don't know about the toy in real life part of it. Like I just don't think that,
agree.
I'm a lot older than the target demographic, but I don't think this is fun necessarily because they're stuck in like a pose and you can't really do a whole lot with them. But going back to the game, yeah, it was interesting for that time period. Disney just didn't make other games. I mean, there's a couple of exceptions on handhelds and whatnot, but sort of all of their gaming efforts went into Disney Infinity. So they just took all of their properties, whether it was Cars, Lone Ranger, Star Wars, Marvel, and they just made levels for Disney Infinity. And it kind of became like a catch-all for all of their gaming. So this was basically for 3, 4 years. This was Disney gaming on the PlayStation and Xbox and whatever of that generation.
But you're saying that came out in 2013. The
Yeah,
PS3 had 3 of them, and the PS3 was almost dead in 2013. So like
I know.
they really started to milk that system.
Seriously, dude. And there's a couple other. I mean, I've got that was 1.0. I've got 2.0 on the PS4, and then there's a 3.0. And so it's cool. Like the Pirates of the Caribbean, especially, is like kind of the best Pirates game, almost. There's that really awful PS2 one that we talked about that Bethesda made, which is trash. And then we've got Lego Pirates of the
I
Caribbean,
wanted
which
to
is
bring up some Lego games.
fabulous. Like that's a really, really good game. But the Pirates on this is like awesome. It's really, really good. Um, the problem with this one though is so you play in the couple problems. You play enough of these, and it's like, okay, I've got, I'm playing Star Wars now in Disney Infinity. It doesn't matter what property it is, they all kind of play exactly the same. Like the artwork is kind of the same, they all kind of feel the same. So you're not really getting like a bunch of different games crammed into one game. You're just getting this, but it's Star Wars, or you're getting this, but it's, um, Avengers or whatever.
It'd be
So
cool
you-
if you're a kid and you don't realize what's going on.
yeah, but it's not like back in the day where it's like, Hercules was way different from Finding Nemo, which is way different from Incredibles and all that. They're all just very unique, different games. It's just
Compare
like
it to Kingdom
one
Hearts.
game.
Every world
Yeah.
was unique and it was its own thing.
And the thing about it too, which is like unbelievably frustrating. So these games, you can't, if you're doing the Pirates level, you can't bring Mr. Incredible into the Pirates level. Like it just doesn't work. You can only play Pirates characters in the Pirates levels. You can only do Incredibles characters in the Incredibles levels, and so on. So it really it took half the fun out of it. Like it would be cool to be
Yeah.
like, I would love to be Donald Duck in Tron World or something like that.
Mhm.
But they just didn't let you do any of that stuff, which was like super frustrating. Another frustrating thing too is, so you've got these level figures, icons, whatever you want to call this thing. The levels only work for specific games. So the levels designed for Infinity 1 only work on Infinity 1. They don't work on Infinity 2, and the ones for Infinity 3 are only for Infinity 3. So it's like, I mean, it gets really complicated and confusing, especially for kids, like trying to convince parents to buy all this stuff. Like it's not quite cross-platform, which is weird. And I think that's probably, I mean, they pulled the support from it. I don't know if they just stopped being profitable or they just saw the writing on the wall in terms of kids not wanting to shell out money for this stuff, or, it could be like whatever, they hit a saturation point and then just pulled the plug on it. But yeah, it's just kind of odd in terms of a major media outlet, like having video game, and then just a chunk of time stopping making all video games except one game.
You tried to Rockstar and it didn't work.
Yeah, really just odd model for them. And honestly, they never recovered from that, or they never got the wheels spinning again. Because I'm looking at my stack of games here, and after Disney Infinity, they kind of stopped making games based on individual movies. That you don't get a game based on whatever Frozen 2 or Big Hero 6 or all the other movies that have come since Coco or Encanto and whatnot.
I'll
Big
counter
Um,
that with Lego games. You
Oh,
get
they
Lego
had
games that do movies these days.
didn't they have like
That-
How
I
to
was-
Train Your Dragon? Didn't they have How to Train Your Dragon games? Oh wait, no,
That's
that's not them.
yeah,
That's
but they were older
DreamWorks.
ones.
just DreamWorks.
That's been
Damn it.
Yeah, so that was the one. That one asterisk is they did make some of those, but Lego made them. Like Disney themselves weren't hands on anymore. So really, since about 2017, all we've gotten really are, hopping over to the PS4, we've gotten Lego Marvel, which is an awesome game. But it's, it, and then we've got Lego Force Awakens, another awesome game.
That's a great game. I bought that one.
But
Oh, I bought the Skywalker saga.
Yeah,
That's the
that
one I
one's
bought.
really
The
good.
You
whole-
got
the
Lego
whole-
Hobbit. You got Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
it's just funny to see the drop off. Like looking at all the titles, the spines for all of them. It's like movie, Disney, 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 and then since then PS4, PS5, it's just been Star Wars and Marvel games basically. And there's a Lego Incredibles is the one that's a bit different, but like basically all they've been cranking out for is it 2004. 24, almost 10 years at this point is Star Wars and Marvel games, and they just stopped making like Disney games, which is interesting.
which is a huge mistake because Disney, it's like one of the biggest market shares in entertainment. Period. Games are more
Yeah.
popular than movies, TV, everything. Like, I mean, I'm sure their parks make a ton of money, but like, it's a huge gap in their like plan if they're not making games. Like, that's wild to me.
Yeah,
Which is why I
and
feel like they trying to get back in it with Dreamlight Valley and stuff like that. But again, look what they're doing. They're trying to like invest into more like one
Mhm.
live servicey type thing. That's just what everyone's trying to do these days.
Mhm.
Everybody wants to have a Fortnite. Everybody wants to have this thing that everybody plays forever and gives them money forever. And it's like, I don't know. I don't think it's the way to go.
it is crazy though because the games sell themselves.
Yeah.
Disney put a game with Mickey Mouse on the front cover, it's gonna sell as well as a Mario game. Like that's prior to it being good or not. It's
Oh
just
well,
because
didn't they?
of the
They
game.
did make a new game. Didn't they make some new Disney Mickey game or something like that? But it was like a platformer, and there was like no. I was excited. I remember looking at it.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like a new Castle of Illusion type game, and I was
It's
all
called
excited.
Land of Illusion. It's on the Switch. I have it on the Switch. I think you can get it on PS4. I forget though.
I don't know. I think
Mhm.
I've seen it on the Switch, but
Yeah.
it didn't look. I don't know. It looked okay to me, but like it wasn't the same vibe at all. Like
Yeah.
it did like as far as like was still like there's like not a lot of monsters. There's like really no like combat or anything. It's like more
Mhm.
just like a puzzle game where you control like I think called multiple characters if I'm mistaken. I remember looking at it and just being like, I was a little meh about it. But I don't know. I haven't tried it, so I don't know. If you played
Yeah,
or anybody else has.
it looks good, but it doesn't play great. Like it's more like it feels like a quality product, but it's really not all that fun to play. So that's the problem with that. But yeah, I mean, you look at what we talked about today, and it's like Finding Nemo was not a good game, but like, I mean, I would take 10 Finding Nemos right now rather than just the kind of stuff these days. At least they took a chance and were releasing tie-ins and all that kind of stuff.
And then when they're doing that with every movie,
Yeah.
like G-Force, one of them is bound to be a great hidden gem game.
Right. But that's not to say there's nothing good. So going back, this is early PS4 days. Marvel Superheroes, which is like, it's not just one of the best Lego games, but it's like a really, really good Marvel game. And I was wary to add a lot of Star Wars and Marvel stuff, but I figured I would include anything that came after Disney bought Marvel and Disney bought Star Wars because there's definitely a vibe to them that feels a bit more Disney-ish. But this Lego Marvel superheroes is great, 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 great.
The Avenger
Absolutely,
one's really good as well.
yeah, yeah, really, really good. It feels really good. The world is great. Like you get to play. It's almost a better version of Disney Infinity because you get to play as all the different characters, and the gameplay is really interesting. Missions are really good. Story's good. Got an original story, and yeah, it's kind of perfect. It's like really good. It's funny. It's a good platform for the superheroes. Like there's some Lego games that just fit the property really well. Um, the Lego Indiana Jones games aren't my favorite. Like, I don't think that's the greatest of pairings, but Marvel really fits the Lego like license and the gameplay really well. So they really
I'd say Star
did
Wars
an
do
awesome
as
job.
well.
Yeah, yep.
Actually, my favorite one is the 2007 release of the Star Wars, the completion pack with all the original PS2 ones, but on the PS3 with the modern graphics and the trophies. Such an amazing game, that one.
Yeah, it's one of the best, like that Lego Marvel is one of the best Marvel games. Those Lego Star Wars games are almost some of the best Star Wars games that have ever come out. Like they're just really, really good. It's funny that, Lego can do a better job of Disney games than a lot of Disney games, like their own.
Hey, James, one thing I wanted to bring up we got on the PS3, we got a lot of kart racing games.
Yeah.
We got like a Madagascar kart racing game.
hmm
Was there an Ice Age kart racing game?
Madagascar is DreamWorks, I think, and I think Ice Age is Ice Age DreamWorks or is that something else?
Yeah, I get confused with DreamWorks and Disney.
Oh, it's all right. No, it's easy. But
They're kids' games to me. I put them all under the same category.
But yeah, there was another good Toy Story kart game on the PS1. Just real quick, that's a great game. I don't have a copy of that on me right now, but that is a really good game. And on PS5, they dropped that. Have you guys seen that new Disney Speedway game or whatever it's called?
Oh, I've heard of it. Yeah, I haven't played it.
Free to play. Let me look up the name.
Oh no, I did watch this. It looked really good too.
It's actually great. It's it's a free download, and then I think you have to pay for extra. It's called Disney Speedstorm, and I was just happy to have a new Disney game to play, but impressed by the mechanics of it. Like they weren't lazy with the driving controls and all that, or the levels. Like it's actually worth checking out if you guys haven't tried that one out yet.
No, I think I was hoping it would get an actual physical release, but if it's free to play, probably not.
Probably not. Give it a test.
It's not really free to play.
I don't think they're going to print a disc out if they can give them out for free.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like free to experience. If you want the full experience, you got to pay.
But maybe it's a good sign of things to come. That Dreamlight Valley for all its flaws, and then Speedstorm for all its flaws too. Maybe this is at least they're making something. At least they're putting out product again, which is good.
I honestly, like, from a pure just business standpoint, like it would be crazy for them not to make more games. They have such powerful characters and franchises with brand recognizability in the games, and and again, like they could do another kart race, so they could do this, but they should do like actual unique games like that, especially if they tried to appeal to like us and like that whole block of shows we were talking about, like the Chippendales and DuckTales and Darkwing Duck and blah, blah. If they like tried to bring some of that back, there's money for you there at Disney. If you make new Darkwing Duck game or a new DuckTales game or a new,
take my money.
Yeah, dude. If they announced DuckTales 3, you don't think everyone would be like, oh shit, yeah, I get that, son. It would just like, I would.
And it doesn't have to be a modern game. Make it with updated graphics, exactly the same as it was.
Yeah, no. I don't want it to be like a Souls-like, please. Like, just make it like 2D
on a pogo stick jumping around the arena.
No, I don't want any. I don't want it to be a roguelike either or anything like that. Just to make it 2D game, like a good old fashioned game.
Yeah, they could
Would-
just go back to making simple
It would-
games
it
based
will.
on the properties. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know what they're doing right now, man. I think they're reevaluating everything, sort of post-COVID and all that stuff. I think a lot of their IPs haven't done great. Like that new Indiana Jones movie, Dial of Destiny, it came out last
No.
year, underperformed.
Mhm.
The Star Wars, the last Star Wars trilogy. First one was a big hit. Second one was a big hit, and that third one though is like garbage. I hate that last one.
Well, I mean, somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah,
That's
in the
best you
opening
got?
crawl. Yeah,
Best you got?
it would have.
Just
Yeah,
the way they handled. I mean, I could talk about Star Wars for a long time, and I don't want to. But like the whole Snoke to
right.
Palpatine thing
Mhm.
was a mess. Just a
Well,
mess.
it didn't make any sense. I mean, they're obviously like J.J. Abrams was trying to like shoehorn like uh, a different plot into it than the first two movies had set up. Like if they had been slowly setting up the Emperor coming back for the entire
Sure.
time,
Yeah.
cool. But it introduced in the opening crawl like, "Hey guys, Emperor's back," and it's like you introduce this major plot point just in text, and that's like it just comes out of
In the
nowhere.
third film, not even in
Yeah.
the first one. Like he's back.
Right.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
he is.
Third film.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it was. God, I just hate to say it. It's kind of just unprofessional.
Yeah, unprofessional.
Unprofessional. Like, and
Yeah.
for a Star Wars franchise,
Yeah.
I don't know. But hey, that's it. I don't think letting multiple directors work on a trilogy is just in any sort of makes sense. I think if JJ made them all, it would have been good. I think if Rian Johnson made them all, they would have been better. Like hands down. Because yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about, Joe.
And if Peter Jackson made them, they would have been the best. Oh yeah. And they would have been like 3 hours longer than they needed to be. We would have extended editions. We would have.
No, he would have done like a 3-movie sequel on each of them, like The Hobbit.
But I think the stuff like that made them scared. So Star Wars underperforming, Indiana Jones underperforming, and then the recent Marvel movies taking a downturn. Like people are losing interest, so they can't really bank on their longtime properties like that. So I think they're taking a wait and see approach to whatever's next, and part of that too is uncertainty in terms of gaming habits. Like are people going to jump on board the PS6? Are kids going to care about the Switch 2? Is there going to be another Xbox? That kind of stuff. Like they're just kind of waiting to see where the market goes before they invest too much time in something that might not have a great return on investment.
It's true.
But it is interesting because these days a lot of movies make significantly more than a lot of video games make significantly more than movies.
Yeah.
If we look at Grand Theft Auto 5, like no movie comes close to 6. No movie comes close to the budget that's spent, and that's going to make significantly amount more money than any movie has ever had in the past, just like GTA 5 did. And I'm sure Disney and all these other movie companies are looking at this going, oh, there's more money in video games right now. We've got all these characters that we own, that we can do something.
That's the reskin we need. We need the GTA 5 Disney reskin. That's the same answer. Like you guys said.
You laugh, Joe, but if they did that, it would
that would be pretty bad. Die, motherfucker!
Oh my god.
Oh, I hope they figure it out, and I hope they do it, because it's like like you said, all these great characters, great stories, great environments. They could do so much with it. I just don't know if they're very smart about what they invest their money in, and I just don't, for whatever reason, it's not worth it to them right now, or they're just not. They're more interested in revenue they're getting from the parks or the movies or whatnot. So who knows?
Yeah, Speedkiller hit it on the head. The Simpsons Hit and Run was a GTA clone done in a kids-friendly version. It's definitely possible.
That's oh yeah, wasn't there a Lego Undercover was basically kids
Yeah.
GTA, wasn't it, in a way? Like,
Yeah.
so it isn't that crazy of a concept. So
Mhm.
yeah.
But going back to Star Wars real quick, that's sort of the next game on my list. So we did Lego Marvel, and then Lego Star Wars Force Awakens. Now, whatever you think of the movie, I liked it okay, but this game is great. It kind of changed up the Lego formula a little bit in that it's more the camera's closer and more behind the shoulder. It's more like Resident Evil 4 style, where you're over, third person like that. It's a really cool viewpoint. It looks beautiful, and there's a lot of action in it, like a lot of lightsaber fights, a lot of gunfights. Another one of those that it's a great Lego game and a great license game, great Star Wars game. Really, really super cool. Definitely love that one. And then next up, so we already talked about Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 3 chronologically came out after Lego Star Wars. And as we kind of talked about it a bit, but awesome game, awesome characters, awesome locations, kind of grindy, and kind of, unfortunately, I hate to say it, it just lost my interest a little bit. It's almost like it's a throwback to a different era, kind of mechanically, gameplay wise. Like it's just not
It feels like it's using the whole, like it's not turn-based system, but it would be like
Yeah.
using a turn-based system in a game where you're used to playing an action RPG or something.
Yeah, very weird. Like it's funny. It reminds me of Fallout 4. I don't know if you guys had this feeling with Fallout 4, where it was a game in a series that I absolutely loved, but I can't put my finger on why I don't really like Fallout 4 all that much. Like there's just something about it. And I get a similar vibe with Kingdom Hearts 3. It's got all the elements. I should love this game, but I just just never got its claws in me.
I've
for
heard
whatever reason.
many people mention that about Fallout 4, and I'm
Yeah.
so grateful that it was my first Fallout game because
Yeah.
I put in like 300 hours, did everything. The
Yep.
base building in that game is
Yeah.
up there with like the best base building experiences I've ever had.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's like it's great. It looks good.
Great
It plays good.
DLC.
Yeah, all that. It's just I don't know what it is. It just never. I didn't get obsessed with it like the others, and it wasn't because I was
It
sick
was
of it.
also one of the first games I played on a modern system. Like I
Yeah.
just got the Xbox One, and it was the first
Right.
RPG I had. So for me, it was like, oh, I was just playing this PS3 game with yellow graphics, and now I'm playing
Yeah.
this like Fallout world that looks amazing.
Right. I totally understand. It's kind of when stuff hits you too. A lot of times, like whatever age you were at, or what was going on in your life, or all sorts of stuff that can make something
I've
mean a
tried
lot to you.
3 or 4 times to play New Vegas, and for me,
Yeah.
it's like this would have been cool 15 years ago, but it looks
Uh-huh.
outdated, and it hasn't got a few mechanics that I got used to in Fallout 4, and I just couldn't get
Mhm.
into it.
Yeah, it's a tough one to go back to. I loved it at the time. Absolutely loved it, but yeah, I agree. And it really is the mechanics that are hard to go back to with a game like that. It's not the gameplay or story.
Yeah.
or whatnot.
Oblivion, you could say the exact same thing for. When Oblivion came out,
Yeah.
that was
Yep.
groundbreaking, but it was like, launch title Xbox 360, PS3, 2007, 2008.
Yep.
We play Skyrim, and then you go back and you're like, oh, this isn't Skyrim. This is cool, but it's not Skyrim cool.
Oh, the worst too? You ever go back and play part 3, Morrowind? Like that game, is impossible for me to play. Like it is just I mean, everything is there. It plays exactly the same. It's really cool, great story, but
Amazing
just
world.
yeah, all that, but just the technology wasn't there, and like the ones that came afterwards did what it did so much better that it's just really difficult to go back to.
Yeah, it stopped
Um,
going back in time if you lose quality of life improvements, like
Yeah.
really bad. You're like, oh, you can't fast travel in this game? Oh shit.
Yep.
Like, oh, you have to manage your like there's like certain mechanics like overburdened. Any game where you can pick up too much inventory and all of a sudden you're like, I
Yep.
can't move. I'm like, oh my
Right.
god.
And you got to pick between what you keep. The really
You
good
gotta start
shield you
throwing
just
crap
found, or
away.
the really good sword.
That
Yeah.
that mechanic has just always been Oh my goodness! I remember when I first started playing. I think it was Elden Ring or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I didn't even understand like the if you put on heavier gear, your roll speed was crap. And
Mhm.
how far you oh man, when I actually put on some lighter gear and I was diving across the screen like a half a mile, I was like, oh my god, this is so much better. No wonder I couldn't dodge anything. I was moving like a freaking snail.
Yeah,
And,
that's interesting because from a Dark Souls background, that's a Dark Souls mechanic that's been around since Demon Souls.
Mhm.
So I started playing Elden Ring. I'm naked because that's the fastest to be. You know, pick a big sword, heavy weapon, and I can wield it if I don't wear armor.
Funny
I do
you
that in real
mentioned that.
life to intimidate my enemies, but not in games.
That's funny you mentioned that because it is. I never really sat and thought about it before, but that is the one game mechanic I wish I could get rid of is the carrying limit, like being over encumbered or whatever. It goes back to Resident Evil. Remember, you just had a certain amount of slots to carry stuff, and like item management. Like I don't care if it's realistic or whatever. It's not fun. There's nothing fun about that. It doesn't make the game more interesting or more challenging. It just flat out sucks. I
And you
hate
need
it
your
so much.
stuff in Resident Evil. What do you
Yeah,
throw away?
yeah.
Your bullets? Your herbs? What are you nuts?
And like
What are you supposed to throw away? Your ink ribbons? What are we
yeah.
throwing away here, guys? My
And
knife?
first person
None of
shooters
this
do it.
can go.
Yeah, like Call of Duty, you can carry 2 guns, right? Or whatever it
You
is.
know what
But
game you
yeah,
guys got me thinking
dumb.
of? Stardew
Mhm.
Valley. When you first start the game and you only got
Yeah.
that
No
one
bag
inventory
space.
slot.
Yep.
It is
Uh,
brutal.
I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm grinding for $2,000. I'll buy the bag and then we start the game.
Yeah, you can't go in the mines without that bag, dude.
Yeah,
Like, you
yeah.
know,
Or
Mm-mm.
you got to put a
pure
box at
pain.
the start of the mine, and yeah.
Yeah, ridiculous. It just it doesn't add anything. And it just whatever goes through a developer's mind where they're like, "Yeah, that'll be good. That'll add a twist or add some challenge." It's just frustration.
Back in the day, you gotta give them leeway because like it was all
Mhm.
new, nobody knew what they're doing, and like they're trying new stuff. And
Mhm.
you know, as someone who likes RPGs, especially, you kind of
Yeah.
have to go into especially old RPGs. Like I just started playing Ultima again,
Yeah.
and I haven't played those games in forever. And I'm like, oh my god, you have to have reagents to cast all your spells in this game. Like it's not just like magic power
Yeah.
and potions and shit. It's like you need to have like Eye of Newt and Sage's Bushel to heal yourself or whatever. I'm like, oh my god. So I have to constantly make sure I like make sure I got all my
Mhm.
stuff and blah blah blah. It's just like holy crap, dude.
Yeah, mechanic that
Um
I think is brilliant that games don't use these days,
Mm.
and that is perma break for weapons. Where weapons have like a repair system, and if you don't repair them in time, they break, and then you lose your weapon for the game.
Mhm.
I generally love that.
Yeah. What
Dark Cloud did it really well. You could get the
Zelda
best
does
weapon
it.
in the game and break it.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild did it. I forget if the Tears of the Kingdom does
Tears
it.
of the Kingdom did it well because the
Yeah.
way Tears of the Kingdom worked is you break your weapons, but you're constantly finding more. And I
Mhm.
never ran out of weapons in that game.
Mhm.
My inventory was always full of items to rebuild them in different ways. And yeah, I was finding that I'd never gone into a battle where I'm like, oh, I've got no swords left. I was always
Yeah.
fine and different things like that. And you can
Yeah, I
get a
like that
weapon
'cause
that doesn't break, and you just have to charge it up.
it forces you to play different, and it makes, like, every part of the game a little bit different because of that mechanic.
Yeah, and it forces you to learn the weapons because you haven't just
Mhm.
got this one sword that you do the whole game with.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree with that. I dig that too.
What do you got next for
Um,
us, James?
yeah, real quick. So, I got one more Lego game. I don't have it's on PS4, but I have it for the Switch. It's Lego Incredibles, which is another very, very cool, it's probably the most Disney of all the Lego games, and it's funny the discrepancy between PlayStation 2 Incredibles and what they finally accomplished with this one. Like, this
Mhm.
is,
The game
like,
it should have been.
should have been. Yeah, it's funny how you can go, that big of a jump in time and, like, they finally got it right with this one. And another example of, like, it took, who does this one? I know it's WB Games, is it Traveler's Tales who does the Lego games? But it took that studio to take a great property and turn it into a really good game. And I think what Incredibles is good. It's a good example of like that company knows how to take what's special about a property and really capitalize on it and really capture the charm of it and the magic of it. Like they know what makes Marvel special, so they made a good Lego game. They knew what made Star Wars special, so they made a good Lego game out of it because it really just got to the heart of it. Which is funny that that outside perspective could capture it, but the Disney Studios.
Well,
Disney Interactive.
I'm assuming it's the same people that made the Lego Movie and Lego Batman and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they definitely are smart. Whoever's running that over
Yeah.
there, they're
Oh, yeah.
great what they do for sure.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you said, they have like a charm to them. They have like a certain attitude or a vibe that going on.
They know exactly
And
what
they make
people like
money
about
too.
it.
They sell and make money. There was 19 Lego games on the PS3,
Yeah.
and there's even more on the PS4. Like, they're doing something right.
Yeah, I guess that's people. I know like professional reviewers and stuff kind of lament like, oh, here's another Lego game. I've never been flat out disappointed with any of them. Like they're always a good time and they're always fun to play.
I believe we
Especially
get
if
one
you
every
wanna-
6 months, right? That's how the release cycles are on Lego games.
What's that?
We get one every 6 months.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
much how the Lego cycle games
Yeah,
are. And they
so-
sell. They're doing something right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you want a game that's kind of fun to play and with a
Mhm.
kid or a younger person too, they're fantastic games, man. Like, and it's just good to have games that dads can play with their sons, or vice versa, or whatever, or mom with their
Yeah.
daughters and stuff, and you don't have to worry about modern day gaming, people gore and swearing and all the crazy stuff. Like I cannot believe how much swearing is in Final Fantasy Rebirth and how much and stuff. I'm like, why is there? I don't remember Final Fantasy VII having tons of swears in it. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
wrong, but it certainly does now.
Wow, that's
Just
interesting.
bizarre.
And I don't have a problem with swearing, but when it's
either.
distracting, like when
It's
it's calling
weird.
attention to itself, that is weird.
I don't.
Yeah,
It's
when
not,
it's in
I don't have
somewhere
a problem with swearing, but it
doesn't
doesn't
belong.
belong there. It's like
Yeah.
going to see a Shakespearean play, and they're like, "Thy fucketh, fuck you," with like Lady Gwyneth. What the heck? That doesn't seem right at all. Like I don't mind. I swear quite often. I do, but it just doesn't seem like the place.
It'd be like playing Kingdom Hearts and they start dropping F bombs.
Right.
Precisely. You're just like, what vibe is this? This is weird. When did this happen?
We've gone to the Grand Theft Auto world.
Okay, in that game, that would be awesome.
That would be
It was, you know what I mean? Like, I could see that. Oh man, I wish I could do a good Donald.
You need
Duck
to be
impression.
15 years or older to enter this world.
Oh, just yeah, I don't know. That's my whole point. It's like I think it's good, like family entertainment, like is like important.
Mhm.
Like it needs to be a thing. Like you have to look at it from people who, like, I can't play. You couldn't play Dead Space with your kid.
Mhm.
Play Lego Star Wars all day, not a problem.
It comes
And it'd
down
be
to
fun
there's
for both of
movies
you.
you
You
won't
both
watch
have
in front
fun.
of the kids as well. It's no different to that.
And you know what's
Yeah, but
good
it's also
is-
not Barney, is what I'm saying. You could play that and still have fun. It's like a good game for both people, is what I'm trying to say. Like,
and all people too. Like you can get people that don't especially like video games. Like a Lego game is something you could bring your girlfriend in and she could hop in and play it. It's good local multiplayer too, which is kind of a genre, something we don't get very often
Exactly.
anymore is
Not
local
anymore.
multiplayer.
Couch co-op
So-
is my favorite type of gaming. My
Yeah.
fondest memories of video games are always playing with somebody else.
Two
Always.
controllers for a reason, because games are meant to play with a friend.
Dude, it's just always more fun. Like fighting games
Mhm.
would suck without friends. They're
Yeah.
not fun. They're
I
not
don't want to go
fun.
online and get smashed because I don't want to have to sit there and grind for 6 months just to have fun.
Yeah.
I don't know,
I
but
play
it's
one
fun
game.
hanging out with your friends and talking smack and beating each other, and then like that's good stuff. I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah, fighting games are the one thing that never translated to online play for me. Like, playing first-person shooters online, that's fine. That's fun. But there's something about doing a fighting game like a Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter online where it's like that social aspect not being there takes all the fun out of it.
Yeah, but in the arcade was awesome, or playing with
Mhm.
your buddies and taking turns. Like my fun, what we used to do is we'd always play Tekken and we'd do team battle mode. We'd all pick 8 people apiece and
Mhm.
we just have fights and like you just take turns
Yeah.
going through it. And like, oh man, I love that so much. And that's like one of my biggest things I don't like about modern fighting games. They all took out team battle mode. It's like not a thing. It's okay, just
Yeah.
removed it from the games. I'm just like, why? How hard is this feature to put in there where I can just do this little 8 for I loved that. And it's not there. And I like, you know, I don't know, maybe it's back in Tekken 8. I have no idea, but I think they bring like Tekken bowling back or Tekken volleyball or some shit
Mhm.
like that. I don't remember. They're bringing some stuff about the old Tekken back, but I don't know. Like even still, it's like $70 for the game, and the season pass. And then if you want to play Eddie Gordo, that's an extra $10. I'm like, dude,
That's what I hate.
Like
because
Eddie
back in the day,
Gordo
if you wanna
was
play as all the
download
characters, you
character.
unlock them and you earn them, and you feel good when you unlock them. It
I
gives
just
you
don't even.
incentive to replay the game.
So not only like I don't know it, but like I've heard that Eddie Gordo is a DLC character you have to pay for.
Mhm.
And not only you have to pay for him if you want to play with him, right? But if you want to practice against him in like practice mode to learn like to fight against him to get good, like because other people are, you have to pay to even do that. You have to buy the character to be able to even practice against the character.
This
And
is on top of
think that's
buying the
messed up.
game that's full price.
That's
right now.
$70. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like fighting games are like some sort of like rich man's game now. It's like you have to be like you're like out of the gate in for like $200, like $70, and then the season pass, and then God forbid you want a nice arcade stick. You're looking at $200 to $400 to play. So it's like, I mean, if you want a nice one, you can get cheaper ones. Like you don't have to pay that one, but come on.
It's like golf or something where it's
Yeah.
just a flat out expensive sport to play.
Yeah, like hockey.
Watching
Yeah.
iRacing lately, and some of these iRacing setups are like $20,000, and they're more sophisticated than people's cars.
Right.
But if that's what you're into, then that's what you're into. There's a cycling online scene like that, and people buy like $10,000 bikes to play online cycling. Crazy, but there's a
Crazy.
community out there for it.
Funny is that's what I liked about VR is you kind of do all that stuff without the investment of like needing to get like a big flight sim set up and a control stick and everything. Like it was just you put on the VR helmet and it creates that environment for you.
I want more. I want VR to like bring back more light gun games. I don't know why they don't just port all the light gun games to VR. Put all the Time Crisis games in there. Put all the House of the Deads in there. I don't understand why they don't do that. That would be an immediate reason for like a whole group of people who like. Because right now light guns are kind of dead, unless you get like those. There's the TV things with the
VRC
sensors and,
TVs.
Yeah.
and see it. There's ways to play, but none of them are really that great. But throw on the
Unless you had
VR
like an
helmet.
arcade,
It would be, there's plenty of games that are like that already. They
Mhm.
have tons of like on rail shooting games on the VR. I'm just like no shortage of those games.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying, I wish they would the actual bring back Virtual Cop, bring back all these games that
Yeah.
these people like, port them all to VR and release them. And I think that would actually get some people to buy VR. Or even what I never understood either is like, especially like with the controllers and stuff, like why can't they just use that technology as the light gun, and you don't even need the VR? Like, why can't you just get the
Right.
VR controllers and a camera? And
Yeah, the camera
have
could
it
pick up
be-
all the
and port the games that way and just play them on a flat screen.
We
Like,
could do it 15 years ago. Why can't we do it today?
so dumb, dude.
You got anything else to show us off today, James?
got a few. Well, now it's funny we're talking about VR. So I've got one more. No, I got a couple. Got another Marvel game real quick. I'm bringing this one up because it's Iron Man VR, which I think is cool
Awesome.
because it's kind of like a ride. It's again, Marvel Disney owns it, but it's not Disney. But I like this game a lot because it feels like, it's like being in a simulator. It's
It's
very,
sick.
very cool game. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
You
really
actually-
clever how they use the hands on the suits to fly, because you fly with your hands in that game. Like you have jets that come out of your hands, and you like use the controllers and you can point them around and fly in different directions. It feels very natural. You like literally like, oh yeah, cool, I'm Iron Man. Woo. It is awesome, dude.
Well, and it does what like a great Disney ride does.
Mm.
It brings you into the world. It makes you feel like you're a part of it. Like
Mm.
if you ride Star Tours or whatever at Disney World, or you go on Peter Pan or whatever the rides are, you feel like you're part of it. That's what makes it magical. And this, you're in the world for sure. Like you're this iconic character. You're playing the role. It's like transformative or something like that. It's very very cool game. Um, yeah, one of my favorite VR games, and it's a healthy. I mean, it's not like Oblivion, Skyrim length, but it's a healthy experience for a VR game, which I like a lot.
One of the best games on the VRs for sure.
Yeah. Another one, so this is VR and just you can play regular too, but I love Star Wars Squadrons.
I was going to say my other two favorites are the Star Wars games. I
Yeah,
like that one and the Vader one as well.
Vader's great too. I brought
Yeah.
Squadrons up because this feels like a ride again. It feels like you're in the cockpit of an X-wing, and it gets to you to, yeah,
If you get motion sickness, that is not the game for you.
no, not
Let
at
me just
all.
tell you, because that is full 360. You're in a spaceship and you're flying around in outer space, and like you can move pretty quickly in that game. So I loved it.
Just thinking about
I
it.
loved it, but because that's so I as someone who's a VR enthusiast, I can't tell you how sick I am. People are like, I can't play those games, you make me sick. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. You're like, can you go on boats? Can you ride in cars? Are you 4? Like you have the stomach of a toddler? Come on, man. Like
Yeah.
it probably does make you feel sick. Play it for a couple hours and get over it, you baby. That's all. That's pretty much my attitude towards that question.
I've been out in the water.
Not the first
before,
1,000
flat
times I
days,
heard it, but the last second 1,000 times I heard it, I've been like, yeah, just all right.
Yeah, I'm a big VR fan, and this and Iron Man are two of my favorites. But I think VR was. I think I was going through a lull at the time of like in my video game fandom where it's like I was playing stuff, but I wasn't like enamored with the hobby like I used to be. And then VR came along. I got a PSVR, and it like threw me back into that world big time.
Yeah,
It
it
got
was
me
exciting
excited
again.
about. Yeah, yeah. It was like something different, something unique, something complete that I just hadn't experienced before. So I credit VR a whole lot with like reigniting my obsession with video games. It's just phenomenal. And like anybody, I put my dad with a VR headset, and same thing. It's just like blown away by just something you never thought you'd experience, and just the physicality of it, the immersion, and all that. Like it's just. I mean, I
Once
know
it
it's an
becomes
expensive.
like physically more comfortable,
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a huge thing. Like once
Mhm.
the VR helmet isn't this giant helmet with a big wire, and it's
Mhm.
literally like a pair of swimming goggles
Yeah.
that you just
Yep.
pop on, and it's like real lightweight. It doesn't cover your whole face, doesn't mess
Mhm.
up your hair, doesn't make you all sweaty, doesn't leave giant suction cup rings on your freaking face. Like
Yeah.
the experience right now is weird for your average person. If you're into games, you don't care. You're gonna have a
Yeah.
blast. I don't care, but like it's different. So I just feel like once it's becomes really convenient, that's when it'll be like more popular.
Yeah, it's funny. I the first time my brother played it, he played Battlezone on PSVR,
Game's dope.
and
Playing that on my
super good.
Atari Mini 400, the actual.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Same. But I remember he took the headset off, and he was like, "I don't want to come back to the real world." Like he's like, "I just want to live inside this virtual headset thing." And I totally get what he means. Like it's just very just addictive. It's like a drug or something like that. It's just very, if you're into it and you buy
Mhm.
into it, like you can just becomes completely absorbing being in these different worlds.
You got me thinking of
that's-
that Apple headset, and there's people living in that world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's scary is when they start crossing that with the MMOs. So once you have like World of Warcraft plus VR, once you have, I mean, they already have stuff like that, but like there will be people like you said, will prefer to live in that world than the real world. And there will be people who literally will like starve to death because they won't stop playing. That will
Right.
happen. That happens already. There are people who
Yeah.
die in internet cafes in China just from playing online games because they won't stop playing. And
Right.
they're in reality and they won't stop. They die.
Yeah. People
So
losing
wait
their
till-
jobs and relationships and all sorts of stuff.
Well, this is a huge thing I've tried to explain to people too, is that like if your real life sucks and your online life is awesome, where are you going to want to be? So if your real life, you're poor, but in your online game, you're a rich person. In real life, if you have no power and no one respects you, but in the game, everyone thinks you're the man and everyone respects you. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you have no friends in real life. You have tons of friends online. You have no friends. It's like if your real life is in every way comparably worse than your online life, this is when it becomes a problem.
You're nobody, and then you go online and you're respected, and everyone knows who you are, and you feel welcomed. And
it's just it's addicting for it's and also like human beings, like we are like a tribal species, and we all yearn to be part of a community or a group. No one wants to be alone, regardless of how cool I'm a lone wolf. I'm a one-man wolf pack. I don't need nobody. No, fuck you. Everybody needs somebody. Everybody wants to be part of that. So like naturally, like if you're getting that in this game world and in real life, no one gives a shit about you. And you have no friends and nobody cares. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's like obviously this is what's going to happen. So I'm scared of the VR future, and for that regard, I am scared for some people because I know it's going to ruin some people's lives. But
you think about people who are, have a hard time talking to others, or are shy, or like antisocial, or just socially awkward, and all that kind of stuff, and they don't do good in groups. But online, they flourish. Their personalities come out. They can express themselves better, and all.
They're not insecure about how they look.
Yeah,
or they're not.
Yeah, you can look however you want on the internet, doesn't it?
And if you're great at something, like you feel needed and wanted. Like that's another thing people like that underestimate. Like people need, at least men, I don't know about women, but dudes, like we like need to feel useful. Otherwise, if you feel useless, that's when like guys off themselves because they're like, well, what the fuck? I got nothing else to do. Like it's like, so like in a game, if you're like the best rogue and worker, people like everybody wants you, that feels good because it's like, we need someone to do a dungeon, can you come please? That you feel needed, you feel wanted, you feel good. And then in real life, most people are like, ew, just get away from me, gross. Or whatever it is. It's just
guys,
like,
we've hit the 2.5 hour mark. I think we might call that one a show.
No, pull up a couch, let's start. We're gonna get
we'll have you on, man. Thanks so much for coming in, sharing your collection, and
thanks, man.
Disney games for 2.5 hours of this.
Pleasure. It's like I said, I'm up at my parents' house and it's boring and I got nothing to do tonight. So
and guys, I've linked James' Instagram below. Be sure to go and give him a follow. Even if you're not into Disney World, it is really awesome to see you walking around posting photos of hot dogs at Disney World. It's really cool. And you can send him a message, talk about Disney games. I'm sure he'll be happy to chat.
Yeah. Like I talk about Disney a lot, but I don't get a chance to talk about Disney games a lot. So just please hit me up, reach out, send me messages. If you go to Disney a lot, let me know. And I'm always meeting people in the parks and grabbing selfies and all that kind of stuff. So be sure to say hi in whatever way you want.
Awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thanks for coming on, man. That was a lot of fun.
Cool. I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for having me.
It was awesome. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
See you guys.
Have a nice night, guys.
Bye.
You found the